Welcome, Judge. Party's been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Mr. Hyde, it is your claim that Mr. Kinsey maliciously slandered you in your business, that plus an old debt that you claim that he owes you.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to start with Mr. Kinsey. According to what I read in both the plaintiff's complaint and answer, several years ago you got yourself into some trouble.
Yes, ma'am.
And that trouble involved stolen credit cards.
Yes, ma'am.
And you were found guilty of that, either by plea, I assume you took a plea?
Yes, ma'am.
And paid some restitution.
Yes, ma'am.
One of the people who was defrauded as a result of your stolen credit card use was the plaintiff.
Correct.
He was defrauded because you went to his place of business, you had some tattoo work done, and you charged it on one of the stolen credit cards.
Yes, ma'am.
That amount of money was reversed, and they found out that the credit card was stolen, and it is Mr. Hyde's position that he never got paid. That's part of the story, but not the real part of the story. In what year was that, Mr. Kinsey?
I believe it was around 2007.
Is that right, sir?
Yes.
And when you went to the plaintiff's tattoo shop, were you satisfied with the work he did?
Yes.
Because you paid him.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you in the same shop now, sir, as you were in 2007?
Not exactly, ma'am. It's the same business, changed locations.
Did you move into larger space or smaller space?
Larger.
So your business was successful?
Yes.
And in 2007, how many employees did you have?
Varying times, one or two other employees. I'm actually not the one that did his tattoo.
No, I just want to know how many employees did you have in 2007? How many employees do you have now?
3.
So you have more.
Steady, yes.
What happened, Mr. Kinsey, is 2013, you went into clearly didn't remember him, correct? One of his tattoo artists did some work for you.
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of work did that artist do for you?
He did an outline of a lady right here on my stomach, and I paid for it, so.
How long did it take?
Probably about 30 minutes.
And I assume you were satisfied with the work because you paid for
Correct.
it.
Yes,
How much did you pay him?
I paid him $60 plus a tip.
So you thought well enough of his work to also tip him. What did you tip him?
$20.
That's a good tip. Mr. Hyde, so far nothing happening here is bad for you. Just pay attention.
Yes.
Don't speak. At some point, Mr. Kinsey, you and the plaintiff got into an altercation.
Correct.
I want you to tell me about that.
Well, I mean, basically he came up to me and he told me that, you know, I wasn't leaving the shop until I gave him $200.
Because?
Because of the tattoo in the past that
you didn't pay for.
Correct.
Was that before or after you had paid the 60 plus 20 tip?
This was before.
So he came up to you before?
While I was getting my tattoo, yes, ma'am.
So the artist finished the outline?
Correct.
And then what happened with the plaintiff?
Basically...
Not basically. The artist finished your tattoo, you paid for it, and when did you have your next encounter with the plaintiff?
Well, when I got finished with the tattoo, I got up to leave, and Mr. Forrest ran to the front of his shop, wouldn't let me leave. He kind of tried to strong-arm rob me. After that, I left. My girlfriend here witnessed the entire thing.
And you didn't give him the $200?
Correct.
That you cheated him out of in 2007?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, what did you do when you left?
I went to my house, and I got on Yahoo Local, and I posted a comment about my experience as a customer at Middleworks.
I would like to see what you posted.
I don't have what I posted, I'm sure he
No,
did.
I would like to see what was posted.
That one. That's one of many.
Okay. Your first name is Chase?
Yes, ma'am.
Chase, I know that you think that there is a First Amendment protection for all speech. There is not. There is no First Amendment protection for speech that is maliciously spoken or written maliciously, and someone knows that it's malicious, and in this case is designed to harm someone in their business. So let me tell you what your problem is. What you wrote for a lot of people to see was, this place is really bad. The owner named Forrest Hyde assaulted me while I was at his store and then began to rob me. This is no joke. I have no problem with that, actually. That was his perception of what was going on. You did try to strong-arm him into giving you the $200 that you felt as if he owed you, and he felt threatened or intimidated. I buy that. Oh, but then, Mr. Kinsey, you go on to say, if you like dirty needles and getting Hep C, would not go here. Forrest is in no way a business owner. This place needs to be shut down and the truth brought to the public eye. Now, that, sir, is not true because it wasn't your experience. That's why I started with you. And I'm not even finished yet. I've only read page 1. Because you were so satisfied with the job that was done, not only did you pay for the job, you gave the artist. You're not stupid, are you?
No, ma'am.
He's not stupid, is he?
No.
And you've had tattoo work before. You walk into a place, it looks dirty. It looks like they're using dirty needles. I would assume that you're not a stupid man. You would walk out because you wouldn't want to get infected and infect your girlfriend, right?
Correct.
You didn't do that. You stayed till you were finished. You paid for the service, and you tipped the operator. That means that the second part of what you wrote was a lie and malicious. You can't do that. Do you understand? Do you understand? You have to say yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, this next thing that you wrote is another critique of the shop, some of which I don't have a problem with. This so-called business owner assaulted me right in his shop while I was getting a tattoo. Even you didn't tell me that he assaulted you when you were getting a tattoo, right? So that's a lie.
It's the truth.
Well, I didn't hear that you just told me what happened. And you said that nothing happened except he came over to you, and while you were getting the tattoo, spoke to you. You never said he put his hands on you. Assault is putting his... I would do that to Bird, but he might hit me back. He never assaulted you while you were getting a tattoo?
Not while I was getting my tattoo, but
well, that's what you said.
Yeah.
I wouldn't hit you back.
I know you wouldn't. Tried to intimidate me into giving him $200 for a crappy tat he did 5 years ago. Well, that's also not true, because the reason he got stiffed for his $200 is not because he did bad work in his shop, but because you were a thief. So far, you're not losing, right?
Right. Thank you.
I have heard things from people getting staff all the way to Hep C. Watch out, this place needs to be brought to the public eye. You have anybody here as a witness to that? Do you have anyone here as a witness to that?
No, ma'am, I don't.
No, you don't.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Tattoo shop owner Forrest Hyde says former client Chase Kinsey owes for a tattoo he never paid for and for slandering him on the internet.
Okay. Would there be anything else you'd like to tell me?
First of all, he did recognize me when he came into my shop, because he looked at me very strangely and said, do you have anything to do with the place across the highway? Because he knew he remembered. And that's what alerted me to remembering him, because it was a few years ago. So I said, well, did you used to hang around with this other kid who was the other young man involved in the credit fraud? And he said, yeah, we used to get in a lot of trouble together, and that's how I knew for sure that it was him in the first place.
How old are you now, Mr. Kinsey?
24, ma'am.
So in 2007, you were a teenager, 17, 18. Have you been in trouble since?
Yes, ma'am, I have.
That's not good. That wasn't the answer I was hoping for. For what?
I had a really bad drug and alcohol problem. I'm currently on probation for that, but I no longer have a drug and alcohol problem.
Don't look like you do.
No, ma'am.
Does your girlfriend work?
Yes, ma'am.
You work?
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of work do you do?
I do plumbing. My dad owns a plumbing service.
So you work for him?
Mm-hmm.
And your girlfriend, what does she do?
She works at daycare.
Do you live together?
Yes, ma'am.
How long have you lived together?
About 2 years now.
You did the wrong thing when you posted these things. I'm hoping that you're going to stay sober and drug-free, but you can't do what you did to the plaintiff, because that was maliciously putting his business at risk. Now, do you have any witnesses, sir? Just for my own information. It's not absolutely necessary, but do you have any witnesses who read this other than the person to whom these things were directed?
Witness in person, she didn't actually read it. She heard something in public, Miss Ashley.
Oh, I'd like to hear that.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Tell me your name.
Ashley Kane.
How do you know these people?
I had come in to get a tattoo or talk about getting a tattoo with Forrest for quite a while. Tattoos are, you know, I think they should be really important. I don't have any yet, and this one in particular would mean a lot to me. We had come in and done some sketches and stuff like that, and I kind of had been blowing him off for a little while. Didn't really tell him why. I was at a bar sitting next to him and a group of friends.
You mean next to Mr. Kinsey?
Chase, yes.
Yes.
Hearing him basically talk about the hepatitis and the staph infection.
When was this?
I would say about a month ago.
What's the name of the bar?
Hardtails.
You're not learning. You remember that?
No, I do not remember that.
What were you doing at a bar?
I was not at a bar. That was a lie.
Hardtails.
I haven't been to Hardtails in years.
Hasn't been open for years.
It hasn't been open for years.
Have a seat.
Thank you.
No, sir, I don't believe you. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I'm sure it's hard for a small business to try to make it in a small town.
This could affect us for years to come.
Just from little comments, you know, I'm sure it can make it tough.
Obviously, the maliciousness of his postings show that he hasn't changed much.
It's always going to come back and get you, but lesson learned, I guess.
Hopefully that enough people from the Georgetown area will see this and realize that the rumors are bogus.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Montana versus Thorne.
Andrew Montana is suing his former father-in-law, Bobby Thorne, for an unpaid loan to buy a car.
Mr. Montana, are you currently legally married to the defendant's daughter?
No, I am not.
When were you divorced?
We separated and divorced November of 2012.
Was the divorce finalized?
Yes, it's finalized.
In November of 2012?
Earlier in this year, it's finalized.
Tell me when the divorce was finalized.
It was finalized February.
Show me.
I don't have the divorce paperwork with me.
Well, that's going to be a problem for you, so let me tell you what the case is about, Mr. Montana.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Andrew Montana says his former father-in-law, Bobby Thorne, owes for a loan to buy a car.
Now, according to you, your now ex-father-in-law came to you, needed money for something, a car or something, and you agreed, while you were married to his daughter,
Yes.
to extend a loan. You were married to his daughter for how long?
12 years.
And you have children
Yes, I do.
with his daughter.
Yes, I do.
How many?
2.
Did you have a contested or an uncontested divorce?
I would say it would be uncontested. We didn't even have to go to court.
But you had to list your children's names
Yes.
and who would have custody
Yes.
and whether there was any alimony
Yes.
and whether there was any child support
Correct.
and what the marital assets were
Correct.
and what the marital liabilities were.
Yes.
And you did all that.
Yes.
You see, Mr. Montana, any debt that is incurred during the course of a marriage becomes a marital debt. Any asset that is the course of a marriage here in the state of California, which is a marital asset. If somebody owes you money, that's an asset of the marriage, because you and your wife in this state are assumed, unless you have a prenuptial agreement, to have only joint money. So let us assume I find that it's a loan, because he says it was a gift. Let us assume I find in your favor that it was a loan. It's not your loan. It's your loan and your former wife's loan. Now, you understood that before you even came here.
Our divorce agreement, we have split up all our assets, and
If you
none of
felt-
this loan was not mentioned.
Well, that
in
doesn't
those
mean,
assets.
sir, that doesn't mean that you did it right. But you had an opportunity to list it as a marital asset, a loan that you extend to somebody else, whether your father-in-law or to a stranger. The repayment of that is an asset of the marriage. So the fact that you chose not to list it as a marital asset is your problem. Doesn't mean you keep going on and on and on and on and on. He could just as easily have said, instead of his defense as a gift, well, I did borrow money from my son-in-law and daughter, and I gave her back her half, and I'm more than happy to give him back his half. But he should have listed it in the divorce. Now, you understood that when you did those papers.
Well, I just thought I was going to get the money paid back to me.
That's not my question, Mr. Montana. My question to you was, you thought about it at the time you filled out the papers.
Obviously, I did not.
Oh, well. By the way, who is this young lady?
That's my girlfriend.
What is she doing here?
She's a witness
To what?
to this case, the text messages that I have.
She was a witness to the text message. Do you have the text messages?
Yes, I do.
So what do you need her for? I just want to know what she's here, other than just to be an irritant to your ex-father-in-law. I want to know what value she brings to the case.
I have explained the value she brought to the case.
Great. Okay. Now, Mr. Thorne, how much money did Mr. Montana give you?
$2,000.
Did you pay any back?
After a lot of harassment and bullying, yes, I did pay.
Well, how much did you pay back?
I've paid $400.
And when Mr. Montana made this exchange of money with you, was your daughter living in the home with him?
Yes.
Was she ever employed outside the home?
Employed outside the home?
Did she ever work outside of the home?
Yes, she did.
And what did she do?
She's an accountant.
So she worked.
Yes.
Just so I can put a period on this and send Mr. Montana on his way, do you know from your own knowledge how your daughter and Mr. Montana divided the financial responsibilities? Did they have a joint bank account?
I have no idea, Your Honor.
Did you have a joint bank account? Very easy to find out, sir.
No, we did not.
Joint bank, savings, or anything?
Nothing joint.
Did you own a home together?
Yes.
Well, that's joint. Who paid the mortgage on the house?
I paid 100% of the mortgage every month.
And what did your wife do with her money?
Well, she worked mainly out of the home, making approximately $30,000 a year.
What did she do with her money?
She would spend it on herself.
I don't believe you, Mr. Montana. If she spent it on herself, that means she spent it as your wife on herself and her children, on her clothes, on her hair.
On also probably the children.
Right. So the answer is, your money was pooled. She spent some of her money on the family. You spent some of your money on the family. So you did not make this loan with your if it was a loan. Now, I think that the matter, instead of sending you all back and making another court get involved with this kind of situation, let me tell you what they would have to do. If he wanted this money, he would have to move to open up the divorce decree and say, I left something out, this marital asset. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Which you say you paid back $400. He says you paid back $300. I'm going to take his word that you paid back $300, leaving $1,700, because you were a little bit wishy-washy with the $400. So they would have to go back to court and move to open up this judgment of divorce and say, I have this asset that I forgot. Could you please deal with this asset? And let me tell you what the court would do. The court would say, fine. Half of $1,700 is yours and half of $1,700 belongs to your daughter. That's what the court would do. Now, if everybody consents to that, I am prepared, if everybody consents, and that would have to be with your consent as well, I would be just as happy to do that here. Or you can go back, sir, and you can seek to try to convince somebody else that this $1,700 was solely your money in the state of California, where everything is split down the middle. What's your pleasure? Tell me I'm losing patience.
I am suing for the $1,700, which I considered my money out of my account.
I understand what you're suing for. I'm asking you a question. Either I'm going to dismiss the case without prejudice, you go back to the Supreme Court, you get nothing, or I'm prepared to give you half of it, because that's exactly what it is. It's a marital asset. An asset that was acquired during the course of the marriage, which is a debt that's owed by somebody else to the marriage. Money that's owed to the marriage. What's your pleasure, sir? I'm prepared.
So you're preparing to give me $850?
That's absolutely correct.
I accept that.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $850. Your daughter gets the other half, sir. Take care of your daughter.
Excuse me, step out.
Well, he asked me for it, and he said he had a job, but all he needed was a car.
Well, it was basically a known fact. I was unemployed.
So thinking if he's getting a job, I can lend him a couple $1,000s.
I wasn't working at all. My unemployment benefits basically ran out.
And he can pay me back $100 a month, which was the agreement. That's less than $4 a day.
Oh, he threatened me. He basically to beat me up
I'm going to plead the fifth on that.
or blow up my car.
I was angry when I was on a phone conversation with him,
It was a strong-arm tactic.
and it came down to the point where he said, well, why don't you just sue me?
I'm glad to see my daughter's going to get some money.
When he said that, it did get me quite upset, and I decided to sue him.
Hopefully I will not have any more relationship with the plaintiff.
He's a nice guy, but our relationship would be...
Mrs. O'Neill.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
This is a very oddball case. Let me see if I understand it. You met Mr. O'Neill when you purchased some wallpaper from him.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that your business, sir?
No, ma'am. My father had passed away, and he was going to remodel the mobile home that we're talking about. The wallpaper that he was going to use for the house I had in the storage closet, so I put an ad on Craigslist to sell it because I had no need for it. I wasn't going to use it.
And Miss Harrison, you answered the ad and you said, I'll buy the wall. Met him.
Yes.
And you became, according to you, friends.
Yes.
At some point, you say that you discussed you working on remodeling this house that had been left to Mr. O'Neill by his father, which
Yes.
is in Florida. You don't live in Florida.
I commute between Florida and Arizona. When my father passed away, I had moved my primary residence to Florida, so I was living in that
Where
mobile
were
home.
you living in Florida?
In that mobile home in St. Petersburg.
So are you telling me that the home that she was decorating was a mobile home?
That's correct.
And you were living there during the remodel?
Yes, ma'am. I had left. I was going to come back to Arizona.
So the answer is you weren't living there during the remodel.
I was not there during the remodel, but it
That's
was
what
my
I'm
residence.
You weren't living there during the remodel.
I lived there. I was in Arizona visiting my children during the remodel.
And when did you move physically from Arizona to your father's house?
2010.
So you moved there in 2010. Now, when was she going to do the remodeling?
Teresa had gotten a hold of me in 2011 and had reminded me that my father had a dream to remodel this particular, the mobile home. And so I had agreed to go ahead and go through with that. She said we could do a whole lot with a couple cans of paint.
Had you seen her in between the time she bought the wallpaper from you in 2011?
She would email me periodically, but I didn't see her until that actual time that she offered to.
So just communicated through emails?
Very few.
Emails?
Yes, ma'am.
You did not see her?
No, ma'am.
Is that right?
Yes.
What made you decide in 2011 that you had this burning desire to remodel his mobile home?
It was in 2012. And David had come into town in August, and he called me. I went over to his place. He invited me over, looked at the property, and I said, you know, I think I can help you remodel this on a dime.
Is that your business?
I do it on the side. I'm like HGTV, design on a dime queen. And I can do it very well, and I can get free supplies from contractors.
Did you like Mr. O'Neill?
As a friend, yes, Your Honor.
As a friend. Or maybe more, but you didn't know.
Not at the time.
Are you a single lady?
Yes, ma'am.
And are you a single gentleman?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. Got it. Got the picture. So you were going to, on a dime, remodel him.
His home.
And this is what your lawsuit is about. Some cockamamie thing that somebody was coming to your house with children, and you said, I was afraid that the children would hurt my furniture, so I asked him if I could store my furniture in his mobile home. And then he said he would pay you some to remodel, and then you went out on a date, he says, and didn't work out all that well, and now you want your furniture back and the money for remodeling. That's what this case is about, right? Where's the furniture?
Furniture's inside the mobile home, ma'am.
Okay. Did you have furniture inside the mobile home?
I had furniture inside the mobile home
Before
the remodel.
She put hers in
Yes,
there.
ma'am.
Okay. You want to tell me, Mr. O'Neill, what she said to you about the furniture that she wanted to put into your mobile home?
Yes, ma'am. First of all, she called me. I didn't call her.
Furniture.
Okay. She offered to help me clean up my mobile home. And so to me, that was...
Not to you.
Okay.
Furniture. Get to the furniture. Because I don't know if I believe her story.
I
about
didn't
little
know that
kids
there was
touching-
going to be a bunch of furniture put in the house. All I agreed to was to have the house cleaned up and painted. And I left to go to Arizona for 5 weeks. During those 5 weeks, she would call me and say, do you mind if I get rid of your furniture? Which do you want to keep? Which do you want to save? And I said, well, I don't have the money to do anything else with it. She said, well, I'll take care of that. She said, I can get
So
things.
she got rid of some of the furniture that was in the house.
She got rid of all the furniture that was in the house and even offered some of it to the man doing the remodel, my witness.
Is that right?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Who were you?
Joseph Knight, the remodeling.
You did the remodeling?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you work for her?
With her, not for her.
Okay. Did you have a conversation about furniture with her?
A number of times, Teresa had asked me to pick up a couch, for instance, she had purchased from another client of hers for David, essentially giving me the assumption that it was a gift.
Not your assumption. She asked you to pick up a
couch
that she had purchased.
Yes, Your Honor, for $100 from a previous client as a gift to David.
No. Don't say things that I don't believe.
Those are her words.
Okay. She asked you to get the couch that she purchased from somebody else.
Yes, Your Honor.
And put it in his house.
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you do that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Where did you go to pick up the couch?
Largo, Florida.
That's not where she lived, was it?
Very close, a few blocks over.
But it wasn't in her house.
That's correct, Your Honor. It was not in her home.
So it was in no jeopardy from people who were visiting her house who had little children that she didn't want to trust around her things.
Correct, Your Honor. Went from the client's home directly to David's mobile home.
In late October 2012, I had a friend and her 2 children in my house. I told David I would need to store some fragile items in his house I was remodeling.
The couch was not one of them. I bought the couch from, I'm a private duty nurse, and I bought it from the little girl that I take care of, her mother. And I called David prior to that, and I said, she has a Pier 1 couch, and she is going to sell it for $100. Do you want it, David? And he said yes.
Did you say that to her?
Yes, ma'am.
Great.
I said I don't know how I can afford it, but yes.
No. That's what it means. It means it cost you $100.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you give her the $100 for the couch?
Not yet, ma'am.
Well, then you owe her the $100 for the couch.
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. Plaintiff, $100. That's so far. Let's go, Ms. Harrison. What else did you purchase for his house that you called and asked him about?
I paid for all of the remodeling that went on in the bathroom. I have all the Home Depot receipts for that Joe did the labor.
Just a second. And how much was that?
The total?
Yes.
That part of the remodel, I'd have to look at the receipts and divide them out because there was a lot of receipts. And all the receipts are at David's house. And after he changed the locks, I had to do a receipt recovery to get the receipts.
Id you do the receipt recovery?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Fine. So add up the receipts.
Okay.
I would like to know what you spent on remodeling his house.
$2,220.
Not your labor?
No labor.
No labor.
I didn't
And what
charge
was
her
the
that.
agreed upon price that you had with him?
We didn't never agree upon a price. He said that he had $300 to start, and he was very informed on the whole entire remodel, and I called and asked him.
Yeah, sorry, don't buy that. I knew I had to take this job, so I agreed to remodel it for under $1,500. That's what you said.
And that didn't include
That's
the labor.
exactly what you said. That's
Yes.
what you swore to.
That doesn't include paying Joe.
That's what you said.
Okay.
That's what you said here, for under $1,500. And he gave me $300. That's a perfectly reasonable figure.
He didn't give me anything.
Didn't give you anything. Did you give her any money?
No, ma'am.
Why not?
It escalated past that point. She was in the middle of the remodel, which I had not agreed to get all the furniture.
What kind of work do you do?
I do executive protection, security.
Is that how you've made a living your whole life?
I've made a living doing several things.
Okay, but you sound like a responsible guy. You're wearing a suit and tie. You know how to make arrangements to fly from Florida to Arizona, from Arizona to Florida. So you're not stupid. Why would you think that she would spend all this money to remodel somebody that you saw twice, when she got the wallpaper and then once more? Why would you think she would exert all of this effort and spend this money, sir, if she wasn't going to get compensated for it?
At first, I thought it was because of a friendship.
Oh, baloney. I want to know when the last time was, sir, that you did something nice for a friend and spent money. Tell me the friend's name and what you did.
Ma'am, I didn't know it was going to be as big of a job as it was.
$1,500 to
I
remodel
was
a
never
home is
told
not a big job.
$1,500. She said she was going to do some painting. That's what it was limited to when I was leaving. And while I was on my trip, I kept getting phone calls saying, I can do this, I can get rid of furniture, I can buy
Then
this.
all you have to do is say no.
I did say I don't know how I can pay for it, and I did agree.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. David O'Neill owes for remodeling work on his mobile home and for the cost of furniture. David says Therese had ulterior motives.
You can sit down. Initially, I had very little sympathy for you when I read these papers. I said, you know what, probably a lady saw him, said, you know, he's got potential, maybe he could turn into something. I'll sort of ingratiate myself and fix up this place for him and we'll keep something going, which I think you actually thought might happen because nobody decides to take on a project like that, Miss Harrison. If he looked like Quasimodo, I guarantee you, you would not have taken on this project. See, nobody knows who Quasimodo is. Oh, my, lived too long.
Your Honor, I previously
$1,500 is what you say he agreed to pay. He paid you nothing?
No.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500. That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
David knew he needed to pay me because he sent me text messages saying, I'll pay you what I can when I can.
What she has presented is incorrect.
I never thought that he would not pay me, stop calling me.
He's more of an obsessive, compulsive drama queen and made more of a situation that never should have taken place.
So he's basically a pathological liar.
I think to be more than just friends.
That's just David's way of turning the story around.
At the end of that particular dinner, we went to get a hug and she tried to kiss me twice.
Like David does, period.
And I backed off and said, we're not going to go there. And she said, does kissing make you nervous?
Because the gravy train ended.
I said, no, we just don't have a reason to be there. That's not where we're going with this relationship. That's when everything turned against me.
That's the bottom line. The gravy train ended. When I put a stop to it, it changed his locks, everything.
Just to keep my distance and just to stay single and alone.
Glad it's over, and I'll be sure not to ever find a friend like that again.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter, Banks versus Jaffe. Step forward.
Pawn shop owner Arthur Banks says Donald Jaffe pawned a stolen shotgun at a store. Arthur says the gun was ultimately confiscated by the police.
Mr. Banks, you own a pawn shop. The defendant came into your shop, sold you a stolen shotgun. You gave him $875, and it turns out that, as I said, the gun was stolen. The police came, they confiscated it, and you want your money back.
Absolutely.
That's the case.
Yes, ma'am.
Right?
Yes, ma'am.
How long have you been in business?
About 23 years, Your Honor.
And it's my understanding from your complaint, sir, that you have to send photographs to the police department every day of the transactions that occur because they watch out for stolen property.
Yes, Your Honor.
And that's how this shotgun was discovered.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. When did Mr. Jaffe come in and sell this shotgun to you?
On February 14th, 2013.
Okay. Now, what's your first name?
Thomas.
Thomas. Well, you're actually useless because he says he got the gun from somebody by the name of Wayne. Right? Mr. Jaffe.
Slay.
Thomas?
Wayne Slay. He's known as Wayne. His first name is Thomas.
Yes, ma'am.
Great. And you got the gun from him?
Yes, that's
correct. As a gift?
No, not as a gift.
Did you pay him for it?
Eventually, yes.
No. Did you pay him for it? Did you pay him? No. So you did not pay him for it, Mr. Jaffe, because I read your answer very carefully. And your answer said, my girlfriend posted the gun online, nobody was interested. A couple of days later, I was outside fixing my car when Wayne pulled up. He gave me the shotgun and told me he didn't have the time or energy to deal with it anymore. He told me to pawn it or sell it and use the money to buy a new car. That's what you said. So you didn't pay him for it?
Not at the time, no.
No, you didn't say at any time. You didn't say at any time, Mr. Jaffe.
Okay.
At any time. This is your answer.
Okay.
This is what you swore to. Okay. You said he gave it to you as a gift. That's what you said. I don't have time to deal with it anymore. Take it. Now, you took $875 for something that you paid nothing for. You spent it. He's out $875. He gets it back. Do you understand?
No, I don't understand.
Well, I'm going to try to say it to you then very slowly, in slow speed. You paid nothing for the merchandise. This is the merchandise. You paid nothing for it. He paid you $875. You spent the $875. I don't care whether you spent it. I don't care if you burned it. I don't care if you gave it to your friend. I don't care if you bought a new car with it. I don't care if you blew it in Las Vegas. What you did with it is inconsequential. You were the beneficiary of his $875, and he doesn't have the merchandise anymore, which means he has nothing. And you have his $875. Now do you understand that?
No, I don't.
Oh, well, then you are actually thicker, and I'm 70 years old. I don't have enough time to teach you, sir. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $875. That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I'm satisfied. It was pretty cut and dry.
My friend was trying to help me out, and it was a big misunderstanding as far as the gun being stolen.
Mr. Jaffe had sold as a product. We had a signed contract.
It wasn't done intentionally. It was all new to me once it came about.
He gave me a product, and it got taken away by the police.
I had nothing against him. I didn't go to the pawn shop intentionally trying to rip anybody off.
There's nothing we can do. Just report every single thing we take into the local police.
I'm a victim in this, too. I'm caught in the middle.
All I know is I'm the victim.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter, Clark versus Waring. Step forward.
James Clark Jr. is suing his former live-in girlfriend, Amy Waring, for rent, bills, cleaning costs, and the return of his belongings.
Mr. Clark, this is your former girlfriend. You lived together for a period of time. According to your complaint, you wanted to pay you for rent that she didn't pay you while you were in fact living together. Then you wanted to compensate you or return some of the items that you claimed she took when she left the home. And finally, you claimed that she left a big mess when she left the home, and you want to be compensated for cleaning it up.
That is correct, Your Honor.
Let's start out with some basic facts, please. From when to when did you live together?
We moved in October, beginning of October.
What year?
2012. She moved out April, approximately 19th of 2013.
Okay, and who lived in the apartment?
I did, she did, and her 2 children.
Now, where were you living in September of 2012?
I was living by myself in Austin, Texas.
And where were you living?
I was living in Austin. I had a roommate and with my children.
Okay, so you were living independently when you decided to take an apartment together in October of 2012?
Yes, Your Honor.
Fine, very good. And you're both on the lease?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, when you moved in, Mr. Clark, with Miss Waring, was she employed?
No, she was not.
How long hadn't she been employed in October of 2012?
I believe.
How long had you not been employed?
September 2011.
So a year?
Yes.
Does that sound right?
If she says so, Your Honor.
Fine. So she was not working for a year. You moved into an apartment together.
Yes, Your Honor.
Were you looking for work?
Yes.
Did you finally find work?
Yes.
When?
I started December 10th, 2012.
Now, did you have an agreement with regard to rent? Let's start with you.
Yes, Your Honor.
And what was the agreement?
We agreed that we would split all the bills, and...
Well, you didn't expect her to split bills when she wasn't working.
No, Your Honor. The original agreement was I would take care of everything until she got a job and she could catch up.
Well, she wasn't going to catch up because that means she would be paying double. But then she would start to contribute.
No, Your Honor. The agreement was she'd catch up. That was the agreement.
Well, I don't believe that. Did she give you rent in January?
No, she did not.
Did you kick her out?
No, I did not.
Did you still sleep together?
Yes, we did.
Did she pay you rent in February?
No, she did not.
Did you continue to sleep together?
Yes, we did.
And you didn't kick her out?
No.
And if I asked you the same question for March, you would tell me pretty much the same thing?
Pretty much, Your Honor.
Right. Now you're going to tell me what happened in April.
Actually, I was going to tell you why I didn't kick her out.
I don't care why you didn't kick her out, sir. You slept with her.
Oh.
You're living together. Moved in, played house. If you have a roommate, your roommate doesn't pay you rent, you have every right to say, you're out. Goodbye. I'm not covering your bills. When you have an intimate relationship with somebody and you don't kick them out and you don't say we're not together anymore, don't bother me. Next. Do you understand?
I do, but I wasn't going to kick 2 kids out on the street.
You may not have wanted to kick 2 other children out on the street, 2 kids that you may have liked, but you also slept with their mother. What did kicking the 2 children out have to do with sleeping with their mother?
Absolutely nothing.
Right. Now, let us move on. Next. When she left in April...
I'm sorry, Your Honor. Are you saying that she traded sex for rent?
No, I'm saying you did. Not she,
okay.
You. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying when you are in a loving, intimate relationship and somebody from the beginning of the lease doesn't pay you rent and then it's over, but you continue despite the fact that you had an agreement.
Correct.
Continue to enjoy the benefits of a loving relationship, sir. I'm saying this court isn't interested. You may find another court that's interested. I'm not. I want to move on to what you say she took from the apartment when she left. Are you finished? If you're finished, I'll say goodbye to you.
I have facts. I have proof
listen to me. Listen to me.
I'm listening, but you're not.
I'm just telling you.
I have proof that we had an agreement.
And I'm telling you, I'm not buying it. You may want to go find another judge that does. Listen to me. You may want to go find another judge that does.
I have text messages from her.
Your case is dismissed, Mr. Clark, because you're not answering my questions. I said to you, do you want to go find another judge that would like to hear your case with regard to the rent she owes you? This judge isn't hearing it. Now, do you want to move on to what else you say she owes you? Or do you want to go find another judge in some small claims court that's going to listen to your nonsense about rent that was due and owing you from October to April while the two of you were playing house? I'm not interested. So that's a simple answer. You want to go find somebody else? Part of your claim. I'm going to view your silence as you don't know how to respond to me, so I will respond. Fine. Then I'm dismissing your case without prejudice, sir. Go find another judge. Thank you. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I think it's a little ridiculous. You know, I wasn't going to kick two kids out on the street.
I wish she would have heard him out a little more just so he could have the closure that he needs to move on.
She had been lying about all kinds of things, wasting money.
The relationship went south when I started working and becoming more independent and less vulnerable.
Oh, there's no question she took advantage of my kindness and generosity.
I was very appreciative of him, and when the relationship was good, it was great.
I definitely won't be letting anybody live there, you know, kids or not, without paying rent.
This is just another way to control me, to hold this over my head.
You be generous and forgiving, but that's the way the world runs now.
I've learned to be independent and not accept that kind of help from anyone.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Keffer versus Aragon, step forward.
24-year-old Jenny Keffer is suing her former roommate, 25-year-old Amber Aragon, for unpaid rent after she broke their lease and moved in with her boyfriend.
Right, Miss Aragon, I'm going to start with you. You and the plaintiff rented an apartment together. You had a lease on the apartment. It was just the two of you on the lease. So far, is that correct?
Yes.
And when did you sign that lease?
I think it was the end of December.
2012?
Yes, I believe so.
Don't ask me. It's not a question. When did you sign the lease?
January 1st, 2013.
And it was a one-year lease?
No, it was a 6-month lease.
When did you move out?
May 20th.
So you moved out prior to the termination of the lease because, according to you, you couldn't afford to pay the rent anymore.
Yes.
Ms. Keffler was able to find somebody for the month of June to come in. She says that the person who she found to come in was prepared to pick up a portion of your rent for the month of June. So she was trying to limit your liability. And what she wants from you is your portion of the rent that was not covered by this roommate that she found on a short-term lease, which was $350, and a $50 late fee, because she said that you were really supposed to pay that rent to the rental office. You didn't, so she had to pay $400. Can I see the check for $400?
Yes.
Is there anything that you want to say to me, Miss Aragon?
Yes, I had every intention of paying the $350, but Jenny was withholding a workers' comp check. I was involved in a bad car accident on April 30th. I expressed to Jenny, I came to her and told her that I was having financial difficulties because of the car accident.
I heard that you were having financial difficulties. You still owe the $350.
Exactly.
By the way, the check here is just the $350, not a $50 late fee, so it's $350.
Exactly.
So did you move out?
I moved out on May 20th.
Did you pay the $350?
I did not, because she was withholding my workers' comp check. I had no money. I had
Just a second. How could she be withholding it if you moved out in May?
Well, I have that it was issued June 13th, and then it had to be reissued in the check. So.
I want to know where June's rent was. I'm asking you, do you have any reason, just reason, why you didn't pay on the 1st of June the $350?
Because I didn't have the financial means.
That's the answer. It's not because she was withholding your mail, because the check wasn't issued until after the rent was due, right?
I understand, yes.
Okay, so that's part of your counterclaim. But the reason you didn't pay her is not because she was withholding your mail. The reason you didn't pay her is because you say you didn't have the money, right?
Well, because she was withholding the check. It was just reissued after the fact.
On what date did she say, I'm withholding your check until you pay me my money?
Can I?
Look, give me the date.
On June 8th.
That's the 8th. And when is rent due?
On the 1st.
On the 1st. So you didn't pay June's rent.
But
you skipped out on June's rent. And when you skipped out on June's rent, where did you go?
I went to...
Where did you go to live?
At my boyfriend's.
Right. You went to live with your boyfriend. So you owe her $350. Now, the only issue that I have with you actually, her counterclaim, the rest of the stuff is nonsense. Does she have a security deposit with you?
Well, it rolled over. She forfeited the security deposit when she signed her name off the lease.
Do you have a piece of paper saying that she forfeited her security deposit when she signed her name off the lease?
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
This is her signing her name off the lease.
I just want to see that it says she forfeits her security deposit. It says the security deposit will be retained by the landlord until possession of the property is returned to the landlord. Have you done that?
No, I still live there.
Still live there?
So I didn't get any security deposit back.
Just a second. When was your lease up?
July 1st.
Well, why are you still living there?
Because the new roommate and I renewed our lease.
Then you owe her the security deposit.
She forfeited it.
No, she didn't. You have to return her security deposit. How much did she put into the security deposit?
It was $580, and we split it. And then there's a $120 cleaning fee that the apartment automatically takes out when the lease is up. So 580 minus 120 is 460.
No. She owes you $100. You have a security deposit. You're going to get it back. Keep the apartment nice and clean. Anything else?
There's nothing as far as regarding the fact that she was withholding my check, and I was late on bills and everything like that.
When did you finally get the check?
It was issued on June 13th. It came probably 3 or 4 days after that.
So you got it within 3 days?
Yeah.
So it wasn't that much trouble because you were living with your boyfriend, right?
Well, I still have to pay rent with my boyfriend.
How much rent did you have to pay with your boyfriend?
I had to pay $500.
I don't believe anything. You owe her $100. That's all. Thank you.
Please excuse me. Step out.
I don't agree with the fact that I have to give her security deposit back because we never even discussed it.
I don't think that she was necessarily telling the complete truth.
I did her a favor. I found someone to take over her half of the rent, and she still couldn't afford to pay it.
I couldn't afford it because I got in a car accident. I didn't know exactly what my financial situation was going to be like.
She tried to find someone off Craigslist, but I am not about to live with some sketchy person off Craigslist.
I did look on Craigslist. I did ask around and see if anybody that I knew would be able to just basically take over the complete portion of the rent.
What friendship? We're not friends.
I don't know. It was kind of out of my hands considering I got in a car accident. I couldn't afford it. So maybe drive careful.
Choose your roommates wisely.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Nieves versus Martinez step forward.
Serenity Nieves is suing her ex-boyfriend, Jose Martinez, for bail, a loan for child support, and the cost of a motorcycle.
Ms. Nieves, you claim two things. You claim that Mr. Martinez, who's your ex-boyfriend, owes you for a loan that you made to him for child support and bail money, and then a loan for a motorcycle.
Yes.
Mr. Martinez says that he doesn't know what you're talking about because he doesn't own a motorcycle, and he's never owned a motorcycle. He doesn't have a motorcycle. He says you actually have a motorcycle. There was a motorcycle. The motorcycle's in your name. So let's deal with the motorcycle first. When was the motorcycle purchased? In what year?
This year.
2013.
Yes, ma'am.
And where is the motorcycle now?
He has it with the title. The motorcycle is at his house.
Is the motorcycle at your house?
There
What is that like?
There is no motorcycle. Not even in my house.
Huh?
There's not even a motorcycle in my house.
He has the motorcycle. He just has
In
it registered.
whose name is the motorcycle titled? You can get that through motor vehicles.
It was in the previous owner, which I had the title, then he took the title from...
Just don't double talk me. Now, were you incarcerated for lack of child support?
Right.
When?
About a year ago.
How old is the child?
He's 10.
And how much did you owe?
At that time, it was about almost close to 10,000.
How much was your bail?
The first time it was 500.
Who bailed you out?
Serenity.
And the second time?
Serenity.
Speak up!
Serenity.
I'm deaf. You know, I'm old and I can't hear too well. When you speak clearly like this, I can't hear too well. When you're whispering because you don't want me to hear what you're saying, it makes it very hard. The second time, who bailed you out?
Serenity.
How much was the bail?
I think they went up 1,000.
And was all this bail forfeited for the purpose of child support? Did they keep the bail and give it to your 10-year-old?
Yeah, to his mother.
To his mother. So actually she paid $1,500 for your child.
On her own behalf.
On her what?
With her own, that was her own choice. That's what she wanted.
No, just listen to my whole statement.
Yes, correct.
She wasn't there when you made this child, right?
Correct.
She wasn't there when it was born. Right. Is this a boy or a girl?
Boy.
Boy, have your last name?
He did.
What do you mean he changed his last name?
His mother did.
His mother changed his last name?
Yeah.
Was the child adopted?
No.
She just chose to change his last name?
Yeah.
Explain that to me.
She didn't want my son to have my last name due to my background. She was too cocky about it. She said
Did
that.
she have your consent to do that?
After them 2 times that I got arrested, it was...
You consented?
Yeah.
You gave up your parental rights?
Correct.
Is that what happened? Okay. So after the second time you got arrested, you gave up your parental rights, and she was able to change the child's last name, and you no longer have any responsibility to support him.
Correct.
And she consented to absolving you of the responsibility of paying the arrears as well? Because you owed $10,000 and all she...
Yeah, I still have that bill.
You still have that bill?
Yeah.
So you owe Miss Nieves $1,500. That I have to deal with, because she's going to go find the motorcycle. I'm going to tell you, Martinez, I don't think that new girlfriends should pay child support for their boyfriends.
Yes, right.
Which is exactly what happened, because they set bail, and when somebody posted the bail for you, they took that bail and they said, all right, now we're going to let you out. We're going to take this bail and send it off to the child's mother. And that, in effect, Miss Nieves paid your child support, which to me is unacceptable.
Yeah, and I didn't call her. I didn't say, can you pay my child support? Can you get me out of here? I never agreed on none of that.
You should have stayed in jail.
Exactly.
Judging for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500. Thank you.
I still would have been in jail.
That is our excuse.
He's the one that called me from jail and told me that if I could come bond him out and that he'll pay me back when he gets his taxes, but...
Because that's a whole story of a lie.
He doesn't work, he doesn't do nothing, he doesn't take care of his own child.
She paid was on her own behalf. Nobody forced her. Nobody said, you gotta pay get me out of here. Nah.
He gives up his rights to his own child. What real man does that?
She chose that. You know, we was in a relationship, and she just wanted to have me around.
He's a lowlife that doesn't have nothing and will never be nothing.
Ask her that question about, you know, a pregnancy test that she took with her sister-in-law's urine.
He could say what he wants, but I know what's true and what's not true.
Trying to say she was pregnant with my name. I mean, you know, pregnant from me.
Like, I didn't do a pregnancy test. None of my sister-in-laws even had babies.
Because I don't want to deal with her.
I hope he just goes on with his life and...
Because she's a two-faced person.
Enjoys being a scumbag.
Judge parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Miss Reese, you were a patron in the defendant's bar over a year ago in March of 2012. The defendant, who owns the bar, also has a dog.
Yes.
That she allows to move around the bar freely and unleashed. And the dog has done that for how many years?
8.
Has the dog ever bitten anyone?
Yes.
When?
He has bitten a couple people, but it's from trying to pick him up.
I asked you when? In a year, in 2 years?
In the last 2 years, probably.
How many times has the dog bitten someone who's tried to pick him up?
A couple of times.
And when you say a couple is 2. More than 2?
Maybe. They've
No,
all been warned.
Maybe is not an answer.
I really don't know how many.
Well, I want you to think about the answer to that question. I would know how many times my dog bit someone if the dog was allowed to run free in my commercial establishment.
Okay, with her, I would say 3 times.
Other than the plaintiff in this case, have you ever been sued by the other 2 people?
No. They're all aware of the fact.
No, don't tell me what they're aware of, Miss Mayor. Don't tell me what they're aware of. I asked you a simple question. Have you ever been sued? The answer is no.
No.
What kind of a dog is it?
Shih Tzu. I have a picture if you want to see it.
I love Shih Tzus. Have had them for 20 years.
Yeah.
Great little dogs. I had one that didn't like to be picked up either.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of them are pretty reasonable. Now, how much does he weigh?
Probably 14 pounds, I think.
A big Shih Tzu.
He's big.
All right. Now, Miss Reese, this happened in March of 2012. At what time of the day?
It was in the afternoon. I'm not sure the exact time.
Well, try to think. Was it 1 o'clock? Was it 5 o'clock?
I'm thinking probably 2.
And what time had you arrived at the bar?
Right around 2 o'clock.
Did you order something?
We were about to order. I hadn't ordered yet before the incident, no.
Who were you there with?
I was with a friend.
Who?
Man that I was dating at the time.
Had you ever been to the bar before?
I had been there one time years prior on a Saturday night with my sister, yes.
So now I'd like you to tell me what happened.
Well, on March 12th, Linda's Bar.
We're there already. We're at 2 o'clock. You were just about to order. You don't have to go over it again.
Okay.
I have an intact memory.
Okay.
Most of the time.
So I noticed the dog right away, and he came over to me, and I asked her if he was friendly, and, you know, could I pet him? And she said, yeah, definitely. So I was petting the dog, and he was really friendly. She's like, oh, he's here all the time, and just no big deal. He's a friendly dog.
So she told you, just a second, she told you that you could pet the dog.
Yes.
Fine. And you
Play
were
with
petting
it, whatever.
No, you
Okay.
said pet.
Okay.
So you were petting the dog.
I was petting the dog.
And had no trouble.
No trouble. He was licking my hand. He was jumping up like he wanted me to hold him.
No, don't tell me what's in the dog's mind.
Okay.
You were petting the dog and
I was
had
petting
no
the dog.
problem petting the
No
dog.
issues. The dog was very friendly.
And then what happened?
And then I reached under his belly to pick him up, and he clamped onto my hand, and he just started shaking violently, and I was screaming. It was painful, and I waited for him to let go because I didn't want him to do any further damage to my hand. And when he finally did, I showed everybody what had happened, and Linda said, oh, I'm so sorry, and da-da-da, and she offered to bandage my hand for me, and she did.
Right. And
I got nauseous and dizzy at the sight of the blood. We stayed for maybe 15 minutes after that, and then we left. And then I went home and didn't really think a whole lot of it, but the next day I woke up and my finger was swollen to twice its size, and it was infected, bright red. I couldn't move
like
it.
to see the photograph, please. Okay. So what did you do?
So I called the ER, and they told me to come in right away because of the location of the main puncture wound. It was by a joint, and they were afraid that that could...
Don't tell me what they were afraid of. Don't tell me what they said to you. Tell me unless you were... Are you from the ER?
No, ma'am.
No. Just tell me you went to the emergency room.
I went to the emergency
room the next day.
Yes.
And what action was performed on you? Did you have any stitches?
I did not have any
stitches. Did you have any surgery?
No.
Did somebody clean it?
Yes.
And then they put a bandage on it?
Yes.
Do you have that medical record?
Yes.
I'd like to take a look at it. Okay. And what happened after they cleaned the wound and dressed it? Then did you go to the hairdresser?
No, I did not.
Well, you asked if you could go to the hairdresser before you went to the ER.
I did ask that.
And they said they suggested you come over before you went to the beauty parlor.
Right.
So after they fixed your hand, you decided not to go to the beauty parlor that
My
day.
appointment time was already over at that point.
All right. What else?
After that, I've been afraid of dogs. I've been a dog owner my whole life.
All right. Well, if you're a dog owner your whole life, you know, I wouldn't go over and pick up somebody's dog. I might pet it if it came over and go like this. But I wouldn't necessarily go and pick up a dog.
He's a
so
lap
I don't want to
dog.
hear about all your trauma about being afraid of dogs. You shouldn't be afraid of dogs. You should just be afraid of picking up dogs.
He's a lap dog, Your Honor.
He's not your lap dog. It's not
She
your
said
lap
he was
dog.
friendly.
I just want...
She should not have had him in the establishment
Miss
if he
Reese,
had bit
I
people
don't
3
disagree.
times
I
before.
didn't
tell you he was friendly.
Yes.
Just... I don't disagree with you. This is not a $5,000 problem. Did you go to a lawyer?
Yes, I did.
So I assume ultimately the lawyer told you, I'm not taking this case.
No, the lawyer would have taken it.
Well, then why didn't you stay with the lawyer?
Because I was dealing with a divorce and custody issues at the time, and it was too much.
You have a lot of excuses. You went to a lawyer. Did the lawyer that you went to suggest you go for therapy?
Yes, she did.
Okay. Did you go for therapy?
Yes, I did.
And after the lawyer suggested that you go for therapy and you went for therapy, at what point no case?
She never told me I had no case.
Well, then I want to know what you're doing here. If you went
Because
to a
I
lawyer and you retained a lawyer who said that you had a case, and this is what you have to do. You have to go for therapy on your hand. Do you have your therapy bills?
Yes, I do.
You have to go for therapy because that's what the lawyer tell you. And you go for 12 sessions. It enhances your case. At some point, the lawyer either discontinued your case or you discontinued the lawyer. I absolutely believe that the defendant is responsible for your medical bills. Absolutely. Because she already had prior notice that her dog bites. And if your dog bites, when you pick him up, it's not the kind of pet that you want to keep in a commercial establishment.
Exactly.
Yeah, but he's mine and it's my bar.
No.
I'm home.
No. That's not true, madam. That is not true. In your home, it's yours. Once you open your bar to the public, you bear a different responsibility. Your responsibility is, if you have a pet, you know, there are some people that say, listen, I love my cat, and my cat sort of prowls around and takes care of the mice problem, and takes care, so I'm going to let the cat stay around here.
She was
but
warned.
Just
No, I was not.
Am I speaking? What part of my speaking didn't you understand? You don't like my answer. That doesn't mean I'm wrong. It means you have prior notice that your dog bites under certain circumstances. And as a responsible owner, this is not your home. This is your commercial establishment where you invite the public
and serve food.
I'm going to dismiss your case.
Sorry.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And pain and suffering after Linda's Shih Tzu bit her while she was patronizing her establishment.
Now, I told you before, it's not a $5,000 case.
Okay.
Get it out of your mind. That's what your lawyer told you. But I think that she's wrong.
And I don't serve food.
I don't care whether you serve food or not. It is a commercial establishment, and you're on notice that your dog has bitten before. When somebody might do what she did, which is bend down and try to pick up a small dog. Now, 14 pounds is not a small Shih Tzu, but bend down and try to pick it up. She shouldn't have done it. Pet it, put your hand out, let it lick you, but she shouldn't have gone down to pick up the dog. Now, do you have insurance in your bar?
Yes, I do.
Does the insurance carrier know that you have a dog at the bar?
Yes, he does.
Really?
I'm sorry, not the insurance company. No, they do not know.
Well, they're going to cancel your insurance.
Yeah.
Because they're going to see this and they're going to say somebody's going to get hurt in that bar. Is the dog still around?
Yes.
Well, I'm going to tell you, you're going to have a problem in that bar because somebody is going to say, you know what? I didn't just get a puncture wound that I chose between my hairdresser and going to the ER which one to do. I'm really hurt because the dog bit me in the face and I needed stitches, or the dog bit me in the shoulder. So you best think twice. It's not your home. Dog belongs in your home. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,500. That's all. Step out.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
There should be a violation involved. Yes, she serves pizza and garlic bread and other things there.
I've had inspectors come in when he's there and they haven't said a word.
There's food involved and the dog should not be there.
The story on her side was a little bogus, but
there is no bogus whatsoever. Whatsoever. The dog, she said, was friendly.
I probably won't have him there near as much.
I played with the dog, went to pick it up. She should have warned me.
Judge Judy made her point, and I realize that's probably what I have to do.
If you see a dog in a public place, don't touch it.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter, White versus Cox. Step forward.
19-year-old Caitlin White is suing her mother, Deanna Cox, for vet bills after her Pomeranian was injured while in her care.
Ah, Miss White. Let's see. This is your mother, and this is what the case is about. You're expecting a baby. Your fiance said to you, come on, let's take a trip before the baby is born. You said, great, but you had just gotten a little tiny Pomeranian puppy. You would have the puppy for a couple of weeks, and you decided to go on the trip anyway and leave the puppy with your mother, who volunteered to take care of the puppy for you. You were gone for how long?
We were gone 5 days.
Gone for 5 days, and your mom called you after the second day, according to your complaint and her answer, and said, I don't know what happened to the puppy, but walking around limping. That's what you say in your complaint, right?
Yeah, she called me actually, and she said
Did she say something different from what I said?
Yeah, no,
well,
she didn't say something different. She just said that he had fallen off the porch, and that's why he was limping around, and I said that in the case.
Now, let's see. My mom insisted that I leave him with her. I really thought I could trust her. She called to say that my puppy was limping around the house. Didn't say anything about porch. Not in your complaint, which you signed, by the way.
Yes. Well, she had told me that he had fallen off the porch.
That would be a very important thing to put in here. I would have put that in the complaint.
I had said she lied to me in the complaint.
But she said she didn't think it was serious. My mom insisted that I leave him with her. I really thought I could trust her. She called to say that my puppy was limping around the house.
She told me that he had fallen off the porch, and then weeks later, after that, my brother had told me the truth, that he was walking him down the street, and told me that my mother said not to tell her that that's what happened because it would make her mad, so, and not to stress her
I don't know what
out.
you're talking about. I have no idea what you're talking about. Is what you're telling me that when your mother called, she said that the puppy fell off the porch, or are you telling me that she just said the puppy is limping and later your brother told you that the puppy fell off the porch? What are you saying?
She said that he fell off the porch and that's why he was limping around.
And your brother?
He really had taken him on a walk and he had broken his leg. That's what he told me weeks later, and saying that my mother said not to tell. Like, don't tell her that's what had happened. I told him she fell off the porch.
Just a minute. So is what you're telling me, sit down until I ask you to get up, that your brother said that it was during a walk with your brother that the dog hurt his foot?
Yes.
Well, did you ask how that happened?
Yes, I did ask how that happened. He said that he was taking him on a walk and the dog had tried to jump up in his arms, and as the dog tried to jump up in his arms, he went to catch him and catched him in a wrong way, and he flipped and he fell on the ground. That's what my little brother told me.
Great. So how's that your mother's fault?
It was under his care.
This is what the case is about. Your mother volunteered to babysit for your dog.
But I didn't want to babysit it.
Don't speak to me. The dog got hurt. Nobody hurt the dog. The dog got hurt accidentally in their care while they were babysitting. You didn't pay your mother, did you?
No.
And you want her to pay $3,000 for your vet bills and for pain and some whatever else it is. Your dog's pain and suffering, but that's what you're suing for. She's not paying for that. You have a dog. Dogs have accidents. That's what you pay for. You asked her to do you a favor,
I didn't
whether
ask
the
her,
dog
she
fell
did.
off the porch or whether your brother was walking the dog and jumped up in his arms, and this little tiny dog, which has very fragile bones, little Pomeranians have a tendency to do that, have a tendency to jump. I mean, I have little dogs. I don't know whether I would let anybody else take care of them. You choose to go away on vacation. You put them in your mother's care. Pay for it. That's what happens. You think that your mother broke the dog's leg?
She could have not lied to me about it, and she gave him ibuprofen, which almost killed him.
You still have the dog?
Yes.
Great. Dog fine?
No.
Really? Well, then I'm going to tell you, I would be more careful with the dog and this baby that you're having. I wouldn't let the baby be babysat by anybody. So there's something
Not
happens.
even his grandmother?
No, not if you think that they're responsible.
Okay.
They're not responsible. Things happen with children. They could be with their grandparents. My goodness, how many grandparents have watched their children and they're playing ball and all of a sudden kid falls on the ground and breaks an arm and they have to call their son or daughter and say, oh, I'm in the emergency room with the baby and, you know, has a broken hand or a broken arm or a broken leg. And they say, we're going to sue you. So either you take care of your own babies and dogs or you let somebody else take care of them. And as long as there is no negligence, because if what you believed was your brother's story, you told her the story, if you believed your brother's story, there was no negligence. Walking the dog, not letting it run loose, not neglecting it, walking the dog, jumped up, and maybe it fell out of his hands. That's an accident. And if you can't deal with that, then I suggest you not let anybody watch your dog or your baby. Understand? Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She had called me and told me he was limping around the house.
I pampered him, and I didn't realize his leg was fractured. He was limping a little bit, and that was it.
She sugarcoated it and said that he was all right and he was stepping on it. By the time we had gotten there, he was not even putting his leg down.
I love that little thing. I do.
He was in so much pain.
I gave him a half ibuprofen, but I'll give my big 80-pound dog a half ibuprofen. I didn't know that little dog was so vulnerable towards that.
Before she dropped the dog off, she said earlier he fell off her bed and he hurt his leg. So when he was over there, his leg was already a little bit hurt.
He was walking him and he jumped up in his arms and he fell, or he twisted him and he fell.
He jumped up in my arms, and when I caught him wrong, and he flipped and landed on his back leg, and he hurt it, and he was crying the whole way.
He had a fractured leg and it was completely fractured, almost out of his skin.
She just said, what's wrong with you? Why would you break a dog's leg?
I hope that me and her can still be mother and daughter and not enemies.
It's just hard to trust people.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat.
Mr. Alexander, how long were you sort of in a relationship with the defendant?
About September to December.
Of what year?
2012.
Okay. Miss Sundin says in her counterclaim that at some point during this relationship, which was brief, she made a loan to you in the amount of $1,500, a loan which you did not repay. So without saying that it was a loan or a gift, did there come a time, Mr. Alexander, in the course of your relationship, that Miss Sundin did give you $1,500?
No, ma'am.
Did she give you any money?
No.
Never?
No, the only thing we did was go shopping together. We spent money together, but she's never gave me any money.
What kind of money did you spend together?
Shopping, dinner, movies, so things you do in a relationship, but she's never given me any money.
Any cash?
Never.
Or a check?
No,
Your
never.
Honor,
I
that's
don't,
a lie.
Oh, shh.
I don't even have a...
Just a second.
I only have a checking account for me to cash it.
What part of shush did you understand? Your answer is she never gave you any money.
Correct.
Okay. Now, this is your case. When you sort of went your own separate ways, you put all of your stuff, with the exception of a big TV, in a storage unit that is in her name. And you left your big 42, 48, 55-inch television set, whatever it was, in her house.
Yes.
And she refuses to give you back the stuff that was in the storage unit and your big TV.
Yes.
Okay. Miss Sundin says you can have all your stuff. She doesn't want your stuff, but you owe her money. And she says, which I'm not so sure I believe, that the furniture was given to her as collateral for this loan. That's baloney, by the way. You may have said to him at some point, you're not getting your furniture till I get the money.
Your Honor, we verbally talked about it.
You verbally talked about what?
But he needed money to take his daughter's braces off. His ex took everything supposedly from him.
Listen to me.
He needed money.
Just a second. You didn't understand what I said to you. What I said to you was I don't think that he gave you the furniture as collateral. What I said was I think he stored his furniture in your storage unit, and you said to him, until I get back the money that I gave you, you're not getting your furniture. That's not collateral.
I gave the money after the fact.
What difference does it make? You're not understanding what I'm saying to you.
I do have a text message from him saying that he does owe me the money.
Just a second. He may owe you the money. I'm just doubting that you had an agreement that the furniture was collateral. I think that you just held on to it until you got your money. Are you following what I'm saying?
I am following you, Your Honor.
Okay? Because you gave him the money after the stuff was in storage, correct? Isn't that what you just told me?
Yes, I was not.
Just a second. And while you were still in a relationship, correct?
We just had started dating.
While you were having a brief but loving love affair. People don't usually say, I'll lend you the money, but put your furniture in storage. I'm going to keep as collateral until you pay me back. I don't see that as pillow talk, Miss Sundin. That's what I'm talking about.
I've known him since I was 12 years old.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I don't see that statement as pillow talk between two people who have an intimate relationship. So I want you to show me the text. It's a very easy case. He's going to get his furniture back, and if you can prove to me that he owes you this money and exactly what money it is, you're going to have your counterclaim granted. It's easy. So what I want you to do, you said you gave him $1,500. Show me.
Well, right here, Your Honor, shows that he knows that he owes me money.
Just a second. Do you have a check?
I did it out of cash that I have in my house. I have proof of the money that I had in my house. I have a chronic illness, and I hold money in my house in case I have to go out of state to see my specialist. And that was the money that I had given him as cash.
First
and
of
I
all,
have
she never given me any money.
Just a second.
Elijah,
listen, don't speak. Am I looking at you? I'm not talking to her. I already said, you may get your furniture back. Now we're up to, does she have against you for cash? Now, you keep, listen to me carefully, Miss Sundin. You say you gave him $1,500 in cash. On what date did you give him $1,500 in cash? Don't look down. Look at me. That's an easy question.
It was like...
Not like. On what date?
September 30th.
And where were you when you gave him this $1,500 in cash?
In my bedroom, Your Honor.
Now I'm going to see the proof that you think you have to establish to my satisfaction that you had this $1,500 in cash in your house. Could I see that, Bert, please, along with the text message?
Here's a short, brief summary of it. In Your Honor, too, I wanted to...
Just don't say anything. Okay, so you got a settlement from Social Security Disability where they made a determination that you were disabled and that you got your past due benefits, according to this decision, were $30,255 for June 2009 through April of 2012. Well, that shows that you got this settlement. Now you're going to show me where you put it in the bank because you didn't have $30,000 in cash.
No, I didn't.
Show me where you put it in the bank and where you drew out cash money. This only shows me that you had money.
I've had that money stored for a long time in safekeeping in an envelope, hidden in my purse.
Oh, no.
Honestly, Your Honor. And
give it back to
he is a
that.
criminal. I've got his record of him lying, falsely lying to police. He's a felon.
Listen to me very carefully.
He's a liar.
Listen, so are you.
Your Honor.
So are you. Nobody keeps $30,250 in an envope in their house.
No, I did not have that whole amount in my house.
Well,
I had it in the bank along with some money for emergency.
Then all you have to do is show me the bank statement where you had the money and where you took out $1,500, $2,000, $2,500 on or about September 30th, 2012. That's all you have to do. You bring a whole lot of papers to me. All you have to do is show me that. It's very easy. It's easy. Okay. I need the money you owe me. That's not a problem, but you can't keep my things hostage.
And Your Honor, the
It
coaches...
shouldn't have to come to this. I told you I will give you your money. That's all I have. I'm trying to sell it. Okay, Mr. Alexander, you want to tell me what that's about, please?
Yes, this was for when we were in the car and I told her, watch out, and she hit a pothole. We hit the pole or whatever.
I don't want you to speak. I don't want you to speak. Otherwise, I'm just going to ask you to leave. Now, he's telling me his version of the nonsense, which I am going to listen to. I want to know when you say to her, that's not a problem, but you can't keep my things hostage.
Yeah, she was talking about the car accident that we were in.
Car accident, just a second. Car accident you were in.
Yeah,
yes.
And I told her I would help her pay it because I did say, watch out, and we did hit the pole. I said, I'll help you pay it.
When was that?
That was in maybe October.
No, I don't believe that at all. Don't believe it, Mr. Alexander.
But she's...
Don't believe it. Here we go.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Elijah Alexander says ex-girlfriend Jessica Sundin won't return his furniture. Jessica is countersuing for an unpaid loan and for crashing her car.
I don't know how much he owes. This is no indication whatsoever as to what it was for, how much it was, anything. You know, what kind of work did you do before you became disabled?
Pharmacy tech and hospice nurse.
Fine. Then that's what you have a checking account for. You live in an apartment or a house?
I sold my house to move back to the city, so I'm in an apartment now.
Okay. And you pay rent?
I do.
You pay rent by check or cash?
By check.
By check. That means that you have a checking account.
Yes.
So if you make a loan, that's what you do. You write a check, and on the check you write loan, or you have some record of what that loan amount was. Not that you did have money. I believe that you have money. Social Security Administration gave you, for whatever reason they gave you, $30,000 of back disability payments.
Okay. Your Honor,
very good.
Talk
Give
about
him
the
back
car?
his furniture, all of his furniture.
Can I talk
5
about the
days.
car?
Speak not. 5 days he gets all of his furniture and his TV. He will be sending a moving company to pick it all up within 5 days. Otherwise, he's going to be there with a marshal at your door. Do you understand? That's it.
Your Honor, I was sleeping when
Period.
he crashed my car.
Period. He's coming to get his furniture, all of his stuff that is in storage.
It's fine.
According to you, you have it.
I want my money back.
I don't know how much he owes you. And I don't believe you.
I've got everything
Don't believe
here.
you. Sorry. Don't believe
He crashed my car when I was sleeping. He took my keys when I was sleeping. And
Toodaloo.
he came
Bye.
home at 2 in the morning.
5 days, you go get your stuff. TV and furniture.
He crashed my
It all
car.
better be in good condition. Otherwise, he's going to sue
I've
you
got
again for
all
damaging
the proof.
it.
In his
Goodbye.
furniture is fake leather. It's not even real.
Parties are excused and they step out.
He's a felon. He even has felonies found out. He's a liar.
She tries everything she can, like, you're a felon, you're this, but...
He took my car and crashed it, came home drunk. I was sleeping.
Has a pass.
Oh, yeah, he punched a hole in my door.
No, we broke the door moving the dresser in.
The night he decided to hold me hostage for 6 hours in my room.
No, held nobody hostage. If that was the case, I think I would be in prison right now.
Well, the order of protection will be in effect on Monday.
She seems like she got bitter about everything, you know? And I still want to be friends with her. It's not, I don't hate her.
No, I'm not going to be friends with you.
You know, material stuff is whatever, but friends, you don't...
Camera.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Causey versus Ford.
Donald Causey is suing his ex-girlfriend, 23-year-old Amanda Jean Blanc, for taking his car without permission and wrecking it.
Do you work, Mr. Causey?
I did. I'm unemployed now. I got fired at my job.
When did you get fired?
The day that she totaled my car. It was on April 11th.
Did you need your car for work?
Yes, I did.
Where had you been working?
HD Fowler. It was like a plumbing company, deal with outside plumbing, waters, things like...
Okay. Now, Mr. Causey, you sound like a reasonably intelligent man. You meet this young lady on the internet.
Correct.
On what date?
I believe it was April 8th, I believe, if I'm not 100% for sure the date, but I believe
Oh, you should be 100% sure, sir, because you lost your job on the 11th.
Yeah, so it was the 8th then.
Now, is that the first time you communicated with her?
No.
You had communicated with her before the 8th?
Yes.
On what site did you meet her?
Facebook.
How did you connect on Facebook? What did you type in to find her?
Well, me and my girlfriend was going through problems, so I typed in, I'm single and I'm ready to mingle.
You said what? Shh. Hey, you typed in single and I'm ready to mingle?
Correct.
And that's, I'm serious, and that's all you have to type in on the search, where it says search? Single, ready to mingle, and then they find somebody else that says the same thing?
No, it's not a hookup site. I mean, people just come on and I guess like...
And when you met on the 8th, where did you meet?
I met her downtown.
Downtown where? At a restaurant, at a bar?
It was at a hotel, I think. She was at a party.
Did you meet her in the lobby?
She actually came to my car.
What did you call her?
Yes.
And told her you were there?
Yes.
And she came out to your car?
Yes.
And where did you go?
Went back to my house.
Immediately?
Yes.
No food, no drink, no nothing. You went back to your house. That was on the 8th at night. Then I read your complaint. You said that you got along so well together you decided to hang out a little longer.
Correct.
So she stayed over for a couple of days.
Yes, actually the first day she stayed over, then I took her back to her house to get some clothes, and she wouldn't pick her daughter up. So her and her daughter came back to stay with me.
How old is her daughter?
4, 5.
When did she take your car?
Tuesday night.
Tell me about that.
I get home from work around like 6:30. She told me that her mom wanted to take her daughter for the rest of the week and through Sunday. So I get off work. I was tired, but I was like, I'll take you over there. So I take her, drop her daughter off. We get back. I got to go to work in the morning, so I crashed like 10:30, 11, and she said that she wasn't tired, so she was going to stay up. So I get up at like 2:30 in the morning. I look out the window, my car is gone, she's gone, my keys is gone. So I instantly start calling her like, where is you at? I didn't give her permission to drive my car at all.
Now, you were driving his car.
I was. He gave me permission to take the car.
And you had an accident.
Yes.
What time did you have the accident, and where were you when you had the accident?
I was about 20 minutes from his place.
What time?
I want to say 11:30, midnight, maybe.
And where were you going, or where were you coming from?
I was coming from his house, going to my friend's house.
So you're going to hang out with your friend? What were you going to do at your friend's house at midnight?
I was just going to go say hi, see her for a minute, and then go back to his house because he had to work in the morning.
And tell me about the accident you got into.
I was driving down the road, and a car was coming this way, and it was a truck, and he hit me in the front. I was going straight, and he was turning, and he turned into me.
Did you hit the truck, or the truck hit you?
The truck hit me.
And you were going straight?
I was going straight, yes.
Yes.
That's not what the...
Do you have an accident report?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it. Now, you have a valid driver's license?
I do.
So that was not a problem. And what kind of car do you have, sir?
A Buick 2000 Regal had.
Had. So you had no collision insurance on it?
I had liability.
Only liability?
Only liability.
You had no collision. Police report said you were intoxicated. Police report said you were intoxicated. What is that? What is that? Is that an answer?
No, I did have a drink before I left his house. He had given me the alcohol before he handed me the keys, though, so he knew that I was drinking before he handed me his car keys.
Everything is able to have a baby. Everything's able to have a child. He gave you the alcohol, and you got into a car to go and hang out with your friend at midnight. There's something wrong with you. How many days a week do you work?
Usually about 4 days a week.
What do you mean usually about? You were here with him on the 8th, 9th, 10th, and this happened on the 11th.
Right.
Did you work any of those nights?
I didn't.
You didn't. Right. Okay. Now, you have any of her clothes at your house?
Yes, I do.
Box them up and send them back.
What? She could have came and got her clothes. She still got my keys to my apartment, all my mailbox keys. She would not give it away. I don't want to keep her.
Just a second. Where are his keys?
I have them.
You get your clothes back when he gets his keys.
And I would have brought my stuff over, but I was
what...
getting threats, so I didn't feel safe going to his house.
Yeah, I would actually threaten you, too. I wouldn't actually threaten you. I would actually get angry if you didn't pay me for the value of my car that you totaled while you were drunk. Okay, so you're going to send him back his keys. When you send him back his keys, he's going to send you back your clothes. If you don't send him back his keys intact so that he can use them, you know, not bent or anything else, if you don't send them back within 3 days, he's taking your clothes and he's throwing them in a dumpster. Do you understand?
I understand.
Great. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,875. That's all. Mr. Causey, I want you to listen to me very carefully, sir. I want you to start using this organ. This is your brain. Do you understand?
Yes.
Great. That's all.
Excuse me, step out.
He gave me the keys, and it was his fault. He knew that he was giving me the drinks.
I didn't offer no cocktails. That's a made-up story, a fictional.
All he had was liability insurance. He knew the consequences of letting someone take his car.
I had plenty of people at my house, you know, and nobody took my car, stole my car from me.
Oh, well.
So, you know, it's people that, you know, you deal with it, fortunately.
Definitely not going to get involved that quickly, that fast.
Well, I mean, I let her in my house. I let her daughter in my house. You know, I treated her daughter with much respect.
I'm definitely not getting behind the wheel with any drinks in my system ever again.
Treated her with much respect. And this is the thanks I get for being a good dude.
Barista, this case is about your claim that the defendant falsely accused you of burglary in her home. She actually says that she was an eyewitness to that burglary because she came in as the perpetrator was leaving. You were arrested and you had a trial. You had an attorney.
Yes.
Was it a court-appointed attorney?
Yes, it was public defender.
And when you were arrested and assigned an attorney, did you have a preliminary hearing?
Yes.
And did the court find that there was sufficient evidence to hold the case over to trial?
Yes.
So the court found some evidence that a crime was committed, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And some evidence that you committed that crime. You were acquitted after a trial.
Yes, ma'am.
And you testified at that trial.
Yes.
So you are suing Ms. Pena for falsely reporting that you were the perpetrator of that crime.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Pena says that you were, in fact, the perpetrator of that crime, and she is counterclaiming for that burglary. She says as a result of that burglary, she had to take certain precautions in her home that she wouldn't have ordinarily. Now, when did the burglary take place, Ms. Pena?
On October the 11th, 2011.
Do you have the police report?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it. All right. What I wanted to do, Mr. Arista, was look to see when Miss Pena reported this burglary, because basically what you say is that you came home, you found the sliding glass doors open.
Yes.
You went inside, you saw who you believed to be this young man coming out with a duffel bag and a bag full of your property. He threw you down on the floor.
Yes.
You chased him. You got into your car, chased him. Was he in a car?
He was running.
He was running.
On feet.
Discarded the property so that you got your property back.
Yes.
You called police immediately.
Yes.
And according to the police report, which indicates that they responded immediately, you told the police that you knew the person who perpetrated this crime.
Yes.
And you knew that person because that person had dated your brother?
Yes, my brother-in-law.
Brother-in-law, a couple of years before.
Yes.
So you knew him and you only knew him by his first name?
Yes.
Your first name is?
Guadalupe, but I go by
and
Adrian.
your middle name
Adrian.
is Adrian?
Yes.
Who you identified him as?
Adrian.
To the police, as Adrian. Okay. And you subsequently identified him in a lineup?
Yes.
Right. Mr. Arista, I have to explain to you that the burden is on you because the criminal justice system would not work if people who accused other people of crimes for which they were subsequently acquitted after trial were then sued by everybody who had an acquittal. Because people would not come forward and say, I was a crime victim, and I think that this is the person who did it or that's the person who did it, because they were afraid maybe if they were wrong or if they were right and the person subsequently was found not guilty, they would be subject to a lawsuit. So you can't do that. But if you can demonstrate to me, to my satisfaction, that the reason she alleged that it was you was not because she really thought it was you, but because she had some other motive to name you, that's your burden. Okay. You have to demonstrate to me malice on her part in identifying you as the perpetrator, not just that she identified you as the perpetrator and you were found not guilty, because another judge found that there was some evidence that you were guilty when they sent the case for trial, when you had a preliminary hearing. So the burden, sir, is not on her to demonstrate that you were the perpetrator. The burden is on you to show me that she acted in a malicious way. Do you understand? So I'm prepared to hear you. Go.
So I was dating her brother-in-law, Vincent. I got arrested a month later after we broke up at my house where I lived out with him. He was very abusive, very verbal with me, and I found out he was cheating on me, so we broke up. A month later, I'm at work, and I think it was October 12th, 2011, and two officers come into my job, and they're like, are you Agent Reader? I'm in my apron, my worker worked at Lowe's. So I go outside, and they just pull me and throw me against the wall. They're like, you're under arrest. And they read my Miranda rights, and they don't tell me what I'm being arrested for. No, I'm getting accused of that I'm a drug addict, that why I lose so much weight, because I used to be heavier back then when I was dating her brother-in-law. I used to weigh 285, and now when they arrested me, I was looking like this, so the officer was just accusing me of doing drugs. I was like shocked. I was like, didn't know what to do. Like I was panicking. So I told them where I was at because they asked me, and I told them I was at the gym, because I usually go in the morning.
Listen to me. You told them you were at the gym.
Yes.
And
then they send one of the officers down there to the gym.
Don't tell me what anybody found, sir. What you have to demonstrate to me is that she acted with malice. So far, you're telling me the same story that I would hear if we were going to trial.
Yes.
What proof do you have that she acted with malice, knowing that you were not the perpetrator, in reporting that you were the perpetrator to the police?
The only thing I could come up with was my ex. Her and them must have a lot of free time on their hands to go behind my back and do that, because he was in the police report and he identified me with her to tell them I did it.
No, listen to me. She identified you by name before the police questioned her brother-in-law, because she only knew you by your middle name.
I never even met her in my life, so I don't know how she knew me by my name. I don't even know this woman. I met her husband on the side, that's it. One time.
Had you ever met him?
Yes, I've met him a few times at my mother-in-law's house when he would go visit my brother-in-law, Vincent.
Her brother-in-law lived with me, so I don't know how I would go to his mother-in-law's house. The only time that I would be there is when I first dated him, the first early years.
Mr. Arista, you have no case. You understand that.
That's why I'm here to fight it, because I didn't do something I didn't do.
You can't fight it, sir. I'm telling you what your burden is. Other than the fact that she says she knew you, and she said she had met you before, have you ever been involved with the criminal justice system before?
Never.
Just of my own curiosity, what was in the bag that was taken from your house?
Coach purses, laptops, video game console, all of my kids' video games, remotes.
Now, did your brother-in-law live with you?
No, he, at the moment, was staying next door to me, which is my mother-in-law's house.
Staying next door?
Yes, it's a duplex.
Had you ever been in that house?
His mother-in-law's house. Yes. One time.
So you had been there?
Yes. One time to go drop him off.
Good. Mr. Arista, do you have any proof that she filed this complaint and named you maliciously?
No, I do not.
Well, then
I can't say that she accused me because I don't know what reason, what her motive was.
But that's what you have to demonstrate, sir.
Well, I'm trying to. I don't know what proof do you want.
Sometimes you have proof of that.
I can't bring my ex in here and be like, oh, did you tell her to do this? I didn't.
Well, yes, you can.
Well,
yes, you can.
He wouldn't be in here. He wouldn't even come. He was going to court with me. Well, she didn't even know. He was the one going to testify against her.
Listen to me. I can't help you for the people that you don't have in court, sir. I can only hear witnesses that you do have. I told you what your burden is, okay?
Okay.
Is there anything else you want to tell me?
Just that I completely feel unsafe in my home now. I was invaded, and because of this, I've had to take extra precautions to keep me and my kids safe. And I at least want that reimbursement, since there was no actions taken and he was acquitted from the case. He got his freedom. He should have just ran with it. But no, instead he decided to sue me.
Well, I just threw out his case. Now, let me ask you this question, Ms. Pena.
Yes.
I want you to think carefully. Is it possible that you made a mistake?
No, Your Honor.
Why are you so committed?
Because I was face to face with him in my home. I met him a few times. I know who he is. I'm not.
Did your brother-in-law use drugs?
He did, at a point in time.
What kind of drugs did he use?
I don't know, Your Honor.
Did he use drugs while he was dating the plaintiff?
Yes.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Says his ex-boyfriend's sister-in-law, Monica Pena, falsely accused him of burglarizing her home. Monica is countersuing for damages as the result of the crime.
What kind of drugs did he use?
He used meth.
And when he used meth, did you ever try it with him?
No. I never tried any sort of drug with him.
Did you ever try any sort of drugs while you were living with him, not in his presence?
No.
How long did you date him?
2.5 years.
And during that entire period of 2.5 years, are you saying that he used methamphetamines?
No. When I first met him, he didn't use it.
And how long into the relationship did he start to use it?
Like 1.5 years when we started breaking up and he was going back and forth. Wherever he was living, I don't know, he would go places to place. And then when we recently got back together, that's when I started noticing more in him, because he would just be asleep all day and wake up at night and just do it, and he'd just be a totally different person.
Do you have any proof, Miss Pena, that the plaintiff used drugs with your brother-in-law?
I don't have any proof, no.
Is there anything else you want to tell me?
I don't have nothing to say. Like, I can't prove my case if I don't have nothing to show you that why she did it maliciously. Like, they found something before me when they arrested the day before. They went to the house officer. They found a suspect down the street from her house.
Yes, I read that.
Yeah, matching the same description.
No, listen to me. And they brought that person back to her immediately that day. And she said, she said, no, that's not the person. I know the person. That's not the person. I read this police report. It's interesting. Eyewitness identification, Mr. Arista, is often suspect because, you know, you see somebody, you are nervous, your heart is pounding, you find somebody in your house, you're face to face with them, but it all becomes a blur if you've never seen them before. But if you've met them before, and you've met them before in an intimate family setting, so you know who she is.
I don't know who she is.
No. You knew who she was. You knew she was the sister-in-law of your ex-boyfriend.
Not until I got arrested. I didn't even know who she was.
No, just a second. When you got arrested, you knew who she was.
Yes, when I got arrested,
just
I knew
a second.
Who she was.
When you got arrested, not trial, but as soon as you got arrested, you knew who she was.
Like when I got arrested at my job? That's when I got arrested. No, I did not know who she was until I went to trial. They didn't tell me nothing.
No, I don't believe that at all, sir, because your attorney must have known who the complainant was.
Yeah, when I went to my attorney, that's when they told me.
Of course. Well, now you just changed the story. Not when you went to trial. Your attorney told you who the complainant was.
Yes.
And that was way before you went to trial. You were arrested in 2011. When did you go to trial?
Well, I didn't start trial. I went to my preliminary hearing, the first part with my first public defender, and he told me. And then a couple months later, I got a new public defender, and that's when I went to trial with her.
I understand, but you knew who it was.
Yes, I knew who she was.
You knew who she was. Well, that's what she's saying to me. She said, I don't have to guess who it was, and I don't have to rely on my memory of the event with regard to who burglarized my house and who I came into contact with. I recognized him. Like I would recognize it if Bird were in my house. I wouldn't say I need a lineup. I would say, I know who he is. I've seen him before. Do you understand what I'm saying, sir? She told the police your name, and I believe she saw you in her house. And you had a very kind jury that maybe felt, well, I can't prove. Did you testify at the trial?
Yes, I did testify.
You're very believable. But eyewitness testimony is suspect, but not her testimony. Her testimony is not suspect because she knew who you were. She had seen you and met you before.
She never met me, so how would she see me?
No, she said she met you.
She said she met me. That's hearsay. She said she met me.
No, that's not hearsay, sir.
To me, I never met her, so how would she know I met her?
Just a second. You may not remember. She remembers meeting you well enough to name you to the police, who responded immediately to the scene. She didn't say somebody who I think I may know because maybe that person dated my brother-in-law. She said, this is the person who was in my house, who I came face to face with, who pushed me down, and who I chased. That was you. Judgment for the defendant on her counterclaim for $2,500. Thank you. That's all.
Oh, these are excused. You may step out.
The officer pulled up a screen. There were 6 different pictures, and he wanted to know who he was.
I didn't do it, and then it just bothers me that they would accuse me still of doing it.
It took me 3 seconds to find him on that lineup.
Like, I've been going a whole year of my life because of this.
It was terrifying. There's no words to express how I felt.
It was really embarrassing. I'm even humiliated right now.
I feel that I finally got some type of justice and some closure, and I'm glad that this is over.
Dog owner Abra Miller for car damage from a dog attack.
Mr. Ali, you bought yourself a Tesla.
Yes, ma'am.
A new one?
Yes.
When did you buy it?
I bought it on 6th of June.
Of this year?
Yes.
How much did you pay for it, sir?
68.
And there was a loan on the car?
There's a loan on the car, yes.
So you have full insurance on the car?
Yes.
What's your deductible?
Deductible is $1,000.
$1,000?
Yes.
This is what your case is about. You were going to check on a child's house of yours.
Yes, ma'am. It's my son's house. I go there every day. We bought that house for on my son's and my name. It's for my...
Oh, so it's a house that's jointly owned by you and your son?
Yes, ma'am.
But you don't live there regularly?
I don't live there.
And where does Mr. Miller live?
He lives on a different street, but his backyard and my backyard, they meet each other in the back.
How long have you owned that house?
Since 2014.
Long time.
Long time.
Have you met Mr. Miller?
I met him a few times, yes.
Mr. Miller, you recall meeting Mr. Ali?
Yes, ma'am, once.
Okay, but you've met him in the house. Is this a tenant in the house?
She is a tenant. Yes.
Does your son have dogs?
No.
And does the tenant have a dog?
She does.
What kind of dog?
A Yorkie.
You have a Yorkie?
Yes.
It's a small dog.
Yes.
Yes.
So you have one Yorkie in the house. And you have 2 dogs.
Yes, ma'am.
What kind?
A pit bull breed.
Pit bull?
Yes, ma'am.
And the other?
No, both are the same.
Both are the same.
One's actually the mom and the son.
And how old are they?
The mom's 10, the son's about 8.
And you've had them for years?
Since they were born.
So June 16th, you go to check on the house.
Yes.
Tell me what you saw when you pulled up to the house.
When I went there to the house to check my mail, I saw 2 dogs.
Where did you see the 2
I
dogs?
saw them in the porch.
On your porch?
Yes.
Okay. Had you ever seen those dogs before? Yeah. One was black and white or both black and white?
No, the one is black and white, and I have some pictures of them.
Oh, you took photos?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Judge.
You took photos of them on the porch or initially when you saw them?
After I saw them, I was walking out, then I took the picture.
Okay, may I see the photograph? Take out the photographs of your dogs. Would you say, give me both photographs, please? I see. One is black.
One is white.
And one is fawn color and white. Are these pictures of your dogs?
Those are pictures of my dogs.
At his house?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So now your dogs are out. You're not at his house, just your dogs.
Just the dogs.
Okay. So now I got it. So you took pictures of the dogs the day of this incident at your house?
Yes.
And these are your dogs?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Tell me what happened with your car.
Tesla.
Okay. Tell me what happened with your car.
Then I realized that I think maybe I need to get away from them because they were very ferocious and growling. And I quietly walked away from them, go to my car, lock myself in, and I said, I need to get out. So I saw them, they were jumping all around my car and biting everything.
They were biting what?
Biting the right side of the tire, this side, and the rim and all that.
What your claim is that the dogs caused a substantial amount of damage to your car.
Right.
May I see the photographs of the damage?
Yes, ma'am.
So the car had scratches on it, I see. And what about the wheel rim? Is that, you're also...
And a bit on the bumper.
May I see that? Okay. Have you seen the pictures?
Yes, ma'am.
He sent you pictures of damage.
He sent me some pictures, yes.
Of the damage. Okay. So now, Mr. Miller, what Mr. Ali is saying is that your dogs, who he has pictures of, that you acknowledge are your dogs,
Yes, ma'am.
caused damage to his car that he had for a week, that he paid almost $70,000 for. The dogs were clearly outside of your control. They were out of your control because you acknowledge that the photographs of them are without collars, without leashes, nobody around them, and the photographs are taken at his house. I'd like to hear a defense.
Your Honor, there was no way for my dogs to have done the damage. My dogs are older. One of them has no teeth. We have to put water and stuff on her food just so she can eat. The other dog's teeth are filed down. Both of them are up in age. My dogs have never harmed anyone. I have 10 cars of my own in my yard, and I've
dogs. They're animals.
Yes, ma'am.
Because on one dog, it looks as if the incisors are filed down a little bit. Still has teeth, but the incisors are filed down. Is what you're telling me that that was a natural process, or you had them filed down?
No, ma'am. Absolutely natural.
Absolutely not what?
Absolutely natural.
Absolutely natural. Okay, so the dogs still have teeth. They are smoother rather than sharp, but they still have teeth. Okay, but that's why they're dogs. You weren't there to witness this, so I have to assume that what the plaintiff tells me is true because his evidence is consistent with that. He has photographs of your dogs outside of your control, no collar, no leash, at his house. And he said that he took those pictures on the person, and the dogs he's identified as causing the damage are your dogs. I'm still waiting for a defense. You mean the fact that they've never done it before you think is a defense?
No, ma'am, not.
What were they doing outside of your control?
They actually got out of my yard from a previous tenant of his dogs that dug a hole up under my gate.
Just a second. So a previous tenant of his had a dog.
I had several dogs.
Several dogs.
Yes, ma'am.
Doesn't live there anymore, dug a hole under the fence. When did that happen?
That was earlier that year.
Okay, and when did you first discover it?
I didn't realize it until after this incident.
Are you trying to tell me that it happened earlier in the year and your dogs just found the hole? They had never been out before? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, I don't believe that, sir. You're responsible for his deductible. Did you have the car fixed?
No, not yet, ma'am.
Why not?
I have an estimate, and I approached him of that, and I said, let's see if we can do something about this.
Mr. Ali.
Yes, sir.
You
Yes,
have
ma'am.
insurance.
Yes.
And you have insurance for this type of problem.
Yes, Judge.
And you have a $1,000 deductible.
Yes, Judge.
Do you own your home?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have homeowner's insurance?
Yes, ma'am.
Does the homeowner's insurance exclude your pit bulls?
Do they exclude them? I'm not sure.
Well, in what state do you live?
Florida.
In Florida. Would you look up and see what's the name of your insurance carrier?
I'm not sure, Your Honor. I just switched insurance companies.
Did you have insurance, homeowner's insurance, in June?
Yes, ma'am.
You did?
Absolutely.
Well, did you inform your insurance company that there was a problem?
No, ma'am.
Why not?
Because I was trying to get an understanding of what was going on.
I'm just telling you what's going on. So now you know what's going on. Your dogs caused damage to his car. Most states now exclude certain dogs from their policy. One that's right on top of the insuring them. You do understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so now you understand that your policy exclude your pit bulls.
I don't think so. No, ma'am.
Well, I don't know, and I don't know how to find that out unless you can give me a definitive answer, Sarah. It depends upon the insurance company.
It does.
Yeah, and you don't remember your insurance company. So, Mr. Ali, he's not paying the $8,000 that it's going to take to fix your car. That's what you have insurance for. Okay? But he's going to pay the deductible. You have insurance. It's a brand new car because you have a loan. So you must have insurance, which I'm sure you do.
Yes, I do.
Then if you were having a difficult time with Mr. Miller and his insurance, which I could probably understand because it may exclude his dogs from the policy, you have to advise your insurance company. And I don't understand why you didn't do that.
But I was going to see if he wants to go ahead and fix it.
Well, he's not paying $8,000 to fix it. He's going to pay the $1,000 deductible on your policy.
He was suggesting me that he could just go and get a spray paint and paint that little thing. And I didn't like that idea. And I said, let's go to Tesla and have it done by the properly from...
Absolutely. I agree with you. It's a policy which covers your deductible. We're finished.
This court is adjourned.
Animal control said my dogs were so loving and peaceful. They showed no aggression to them.
I mean, I like to have people as good neighbors.
Even after they put the pole and the hoop around their necks, my dogs were wagging their tails.
The neighbor's dog has some damage to my car. And I want the neighbor to be up to that.
responsibility. The plaintiff bought a new Tesla and has a loan on the Tesla. When you have a loan on a car, you're required by the lender to maintain insurance, both collision and liability. This is not a malicious act. It was a careless act. And I think he should use his insurance to pay for it. I think it was fair. I don't think that there was an issue of fact. Did you?
No, I didn't. I think that that was fair because you have insurance for that purpose so that you don't have to pay $8,000 out of pocket to fix damage from it.
Suing fellow motorist April Tarrant for damages from a motorcycle accident.
This is a case that's about an automobile motorcycle collision. Each one of you claims that the other is responsible for the collision. Ms. Garcia, you were riding the motorcycle?
Yes, ma'am.
And you were in your car?
Yes.
Okay. And this happened on what date?
March 21st, 2022, around 3 p.m.
In what state?
California.
In the state of California, are you required to have insurance on a motorcycle?
Yes, Your Honor.
Just liability?
Liability if it's paid for in full, correct. Yes, Your Honor.
And were you insured on that date?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you were driving a car?
Yes.
And was your car insured on March 21st, 2022?
Not at the time.
So the answer is no?
No.
Did you have a valid driver's license on March 21st, 2022?
Yes.
From what state?
California.
What kind of car were you driving?
A 2011 Nissan Sentra.
Was it a new car for you, or did you have it for a while?
It's a new car. I purchased it 3 weeks prior to the incident.
And if you bought it 3 weeks before, how come you didn't have liability insurance?
I was looking for insurance, and plus, at the time, I hadn't received my paperwork. It was still in the other person's name at the used car dealer. I'm aware of that.
Okay. You wanted to say something?
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you. I have proof that April Tarrant purchased her vehicle February 8th, 2022. She drove uninsured for 41 days, and it was not from a lot. It was from someone off the street. I have the proof for that.
I'd like to see it.
Yes. Thank you. For $2,050.
Well, this car that you registered, the selling price was $2,050, according to this.
No, it wasn't. And
well, I'm going to show you vehicle and transfer law. This is 2011 Sentra, and it was signed, but it's LLC. That's his company.
Okay.
So it wasn't off the street, but it said the selling price was $2,000. That's what this says.
I don't have my paperwork in my car.
I want to show this to her. I just want to get some basic facts first, and then I'm going to go to the incident.
But
you understand that that's
I understand
what
what you said because it's right there.
That's
yes.
Okay, we have a diagram. This happened on March 21st, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. You had no insurance, and you were traveling in the bike lane.
No, that is not true. I shared the lane of the car on the right. I would never go into a bike lane. That is disrespectful to the road and riders.
Just a second. Are you allowed to share a lane with a car and a motorcycle?
That is your right, yes.
I know Foothill. Is that where you were?
Yes, Your Honor.
And at a certain time during the day, Foothill becomes very trafficked.
Yes.
And the cars sometimes get stopped because there's a light, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Go over to there, Miss Garcia, and show me, please, where you were positioned before you say that you were traveling in the same lane as a car.
Your Honor, I was directly behind this car.
Okay.
Directly behind.
You were directly behind that car.
Yes.
And that car was stopped.
They were slowing to a stop.
No, they were stopped because they had to have been stopped because that's why you went around him.
They were slowing to a stop. By the time I got around here, they were stopped. I did it, so I shared this lane on this side.
Miss Garcia, I got it, Miss Garcia. You want me to appreciate the fact that you wanted to get around the stopped car and you wanted to continue to go straight, correct? You weren't turning. You wanted to go straight.
I was going straight, correct.
And so you want me to picture in this tiny mind of mine that instead of going into a perfectly clear bike lane, you inched your way at 25 miles an hour in the same lane as a stopped car.
Yes.
But
this diagram,
you know, I find that hard to believe, Miss Garcia.
Your
I
Honor,
really find that hard to believe. You may be in the right with regard to this, but I find it hard to believe.
The roads are very wide. I have the actual police photo document of that.
I'd like to see it.
Yes, Your Honor.
Right here. And I'd like to see the police report as well. Is there a police report?
It's attached to this.
Fine. Because as you were traveling straight, the defendant was making a left turn. She was making a left turn, the motorcycle or a bicycle traveling in the bike lane. But what happened was she was making a left turn. According to this, you went into her passenger side. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So where is the motorcycle now?
I no longer have it. The towing company, they sold it.
What are you driving around in now?
1995 Chevy Baville.
Atta girl!
Amari Garcia is accusing fellow motorist April Taryn of damaging her motorcycle. April claims Amari was illegally driving in the bike lane.
Who was in the car with you, Miss Taryn?
My son and his girlfriend.
One of them had an injury.
Yes. My son's girlfriend, she was in the driver's passenger side, and while I was turning into the lane, I just felt a crash and saw glass going into my car, and then she was cut.
Okay, and you had an injury to your knee?
Yes, I have several injuries, and I have photos as well.
You understand, Miss Taryn, that the police interviewed witnesses, interviewing process, they determined that you were the cause of the collision. That's what it says.
And I don't...
It says that you caused the collision by violating Vehicle and Traffic Law 21-8001, failure to yield when making a left turn. I determined the cause based upon the parties involved and the physical evidence. That's what the police determined. Okay, well, then that's an easy, based upon the police report, because each of you were going to tell two different stories about what happened that day. Police were there, they looked at the physical evidence, they looked at the injuries, they looked at the damage to the roadway, they interviewed independent witnesses, and that was their determination.
I understand, Judge, but the police report had some inconsistencies where, like, she was driving in the bicycle lane, which is against the law. And what I was doing, I was making the left turn, as you know. And these two front cars, which one of them was a witness.
Yes, that car paused to let you make a left turn.
Yes, both lanes. And but they both did. And as I was
But I'm just telling you.
No, I know. And
Yeah,
that's why
I'm just telling you. That's not what this is. That's what you say. There was nothing that prevented those two cars from going.
Exactly.
There wasn't a traffic light, there wasn't a stoplight at that spot.
Yes.
And there was heavy traffic.
Yes.
So it's your responsibility to make sure if you're making a left turn that you have to yield to all oncoming traffic. So the fact that you didn't see her is really not relevant. And as long as you understand that this police report supports Miss Garcia's claim that you caused this accident by making a left turn when you shouldn't have been making a left turn, that's what this says. And that, you know, at the end of the day, it's an accident. That's why it's not called an on purpose. It's called an accident. Neither one of you anticipated it. As far as I'm concerned, Ms. Garcia, you're entitled to be compensated, but I'm going to suggest this to you. If I'm driving a motorcycle, which I would never do, just for me, I think it's wacky. I think there are enough crazy people driving around that I like about 2,000 pounds of steel around me so that if somebody who is not paying attention and there's an accident, I like to be safe. My first car when I was 17, all my friends were getting these cute little cars, you know, that were convertibles, and my father, so embarrassing to drive around in that car. It was a boat. Oh, come on. Everybody else is getting these cute little Corvettes, even if they're used ones. And my father, who loved me a lot, said to me, sweetheart, if you get into the accident, I want you to come out unscathed. And this ensures that you got a shot if you get into an accident. And I feel better. So I'm just telling you, if you're going to drive a motorcycle, don't take shortcuts. I know this place on Foothill, and I know what happened here. You know, you wanted to go, there was no reason why you couldn't. That's why you drive a motorcycle, because you can get into tight places. But you look like an intelligent young woman.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Don't take chances. That was a chance. It could have been a lot worse. What was the damage to your motorcycle?
I have pictures. Would you like to see them, Your Honor?
I would.
I did look it up. Lane splitting motorcycles is legal in California, based on...
I know. I see the pictures. So where is the motorcycle now?
I no longer have it. The towing company, they sold it. They sold it for $70 they claim, and I got hit with collections afterwards. I have the bill for that if you'd like to see that.
How much did you pay for it?
$6,407.
Do you have the bill?
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
For my motorcycle, what I paid for, correct?
Yes, what you paid for it. What are you driving around in now?
A 1995 Chevy Baville.
Atta girl! Atta girl. Okay. I'm giving you the value of the motorcycle.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Which is $6,407. I'm not splitting whose fault this was, actually, but I'm not awarding you any punitive damages for her. She had injuries in her car. You were slightly injured, but both of you seem fine now. I don't think that you were careful enough when you were going straight and around that car that was stopped. But the defendant didn't have insurance, and she was cited by the police for violation of a traffic law. So I'm giving you the cost of your motorcycle.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Judgment for the plaintiff.
This court is adjourned.
So I actually ended up after the bubble.
I've never experienced that before.
I was really scared. I thought, like, oh, this is it. My legs are out.
And like I said, I was being cautious, and
thankfully I wasn't.
But it ended up in that kind of situation.
Definitely more safely as far as better gear, and, you know, like she said, don't take a shortcut or anything of that sort.
So I looked up lane splitting, and in California, it's one of the few states that allows it for motorcyclists. It does say inexperienced riders shouldn't attempt it because, like we see, it's very easy to get hit or for someone not to see you if you're splitting between lanes, but it is legal, so she wasn't in the wrong by lane splitting, but I think it was a sticky situation. You're behind a car, someone's turning.
What does it say if you're injured?
It does say on the Highway Patrol website that you're splitting at your own risk. So any injuries that happen are at your own risk.
So they say if you are lane splitting, it's not illegal.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have injuries as a result of an accident, if you're lane splitting, you're responsible for your own injuries.
It doesn't say it in a legal.
Suing his former customers, Angela and Jimmy Bias, for loss of income and the cost of a wolf dog.
Mr. Verbrick, what do you do for a living?
I'm an auto mechanic.
Who do you live with?
Myself.
When did you get into breeding and selling wolf dogs?
Approximately 8 years ago.
Why?
I found the animals fascinating.
Why would any normal person want to own with 219 breeds or more in this country, in the world of dogs? Why would you take a dog that is in part, and you don't know what part, wild wolf?
Howard Verbrick claims his former customer harassment.
This is your case. The defendants purchased one of your puppies several years ago.
One, yes.
And a couple of years later, according to you, they were looking for a second dog.
Yes.
Did they contact you?
Yes.
By phone?
Through messaging.
Which you have?
Yes.
Okay. And I will take a look at it at an appropriate time. That they were looking for, I think they were looking for a male, they had had a female.
Correct.
And you were prepared to accommodate that. Did you give them a price for the dog?
Yes.
What was that?
At the time, I thought that the $800 was a little expensive, and...
How much had they paid for the first dog?
$500.
Okay.
The reasoning being, they helped me sell some...
No, just years before, they had paid $500. You were asking $800 for this male.
It was $800 back then also. Under the circumstances, if they helped me sell animals, then I would give them a deal.
Did they do that for you the first time that
Yes,
they?
ma'am.
So the first time that they bought a puppy from you, they paid $500 and assisted you in finding owners for other puppies.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Second time, you asked for $800.
Yes.
And then did you make the same deal with them?
I did.
How many puppies did you have?
At the time, I had 6.
Did they come over and see the puppy?
Other people, animals throughout the United States by pictures only and updated photographs.
On what date did you go and pick up your puppy?
He dropped the puppy off to us on, I think it was March 22nd.
How far does he live from you?
About 40 miles, 30
So you
miles.
could have easily gone to see the litter.
Yes, correct.
So you chose for him to drop the puppy off.
Well, he kind of
messaged us, and we had a phone conversation where he stated that he couldn't feed the puppies anymore.
No, that's not what I'm asking you. I know you have a script that you want to tell me about because you have something in your head, but that's not what I asked you. What I asked you was to have him deliver it to you.
Yes.
That was my question. He delivered to you a male puppy. How old was the puppy you delivered to them?
Approximately 9.5 weeks.
I don't know if that's an appropriate time for wolf dog puppies, but 10 weeks is a reasonable time to separate puppies from the litter and their mother. I know that that's not what I went to law school for, but you require a certain amount of nonsense information over the course of a lifetime. Anyway, did they pay you for that dog?
No.
What was the arrangement?
According to Angela, I got 3 different amounts. She was going to give me a $100 deposit and $100 a week, a $150 deposit, then $100 a week, and a $200 deposit and $100 a week. I got nothing.
At what purchase price?
She was thinking the $500 when I was asking the $800.
That's not what I said. Did you ultimately make an arrangement with her for $500 if she helped you for less?
Correct.
Which is, I'll give you if you help find other potential prospects for the other puppies.
Correct.
So purchase price was $500, and they did find you other people for the puppies.
One, yes.
Well, they found one. It wasn't specified. They found one. And did you place that puppy?
Yes.
This is what your lawsuit is about. You say that she didn't pay you any money, and the people who you placed the other dog with did not finish paying you.
Correct.
Well, they're not responsible for that person. They're not responsible for that person unless you gave them the dog in order to billing is the $500 that you claim they owe you for the dog.
Oh, plus potential loss of income.
Oh, no, yeah. That'd be ridiculous. Okay, $500. Let me hear your excuse.
I think that the dog has been abused, and I have video proving.
And?
The male won't ever come around.
Just a second. And?
The male does not like males. What he'll do is he will cower at the sight of any male. He's very aggressive when he goes to take food from you.
He was 10.5 weeks old.
We've had him for 8 months now, and we still can't touch him.
But you got him, and he was 9.5 weeks old.
And he's still the same.
You got him when he was 9.5 weeks old. So that's not a reason not to pay for him. You still have him.
He needs proper care, and we don't feel like we should pay anything.
No.
Not with what we have to deal with the dog emotionally and everything else.
Well, unfortunately, the law does not agree with you. You agreed to the case. That was your contract. You didn't make a contract with him for a dog that had a nice disposition. Just pay careful attention. If you want a dog that guarantees you practically a nice disposition, buy a golden doodle, not a wolf. Buy a golden doodle.
Good.
Buy a Shih Tzu. You want a big dog? What's another big dog?
Golden retriever.
Buy a golden retriever. But if you people are odd enough to think that wolf dogs make good pets, not knowing, because I did a little, any normal person want to own with 219 breeds or more in this country, in the world of dogs, why would you take a dog that is in part, and you don't know what part, wild wolf? Why would you do that? If your animal is aggressive, go look at its history. Because sometimes they'll grow up to be friendly, nice dogs, like the first one you had.
The first one I have is very well with our kids.
You know, this one, I'm going back to my wolf roots. Well, so it's judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $500. Your counterclaim's dismissed. We're done. Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
We more or less rescued this dog.
The dog had no issues before.
He cowers down to any side of a male.
That's just a totally false statement.
It's to the point where he's got to get a trainer.
I hope that it is taken care of, and if they don't want the animal, I'd be glad to.
Maybe, maybe not. Looked into the history of a dog, a wolf dog. Mm-hmm. And if you read about it...
I did a little before the case.
Yeah. And it said that a wolf dog is a mix between a wild dog and a domesticated dog. And they list the names of the kinds of dogs that they have been bred with over the course of the years. But in that kind of situation, you don't know how much wolf you're getting.
It's a risk.
You could be getting 8% wolf. You could be getting 50% wolf. You really don't know. I think that there are some jurisdictions where they don't allow them to be sold as domesticated pets.
I think there are.
আমার মনে হচ্ছে কি রাত 3টায় ভিডিও বানানো আমার ভুল হয়েছে এবং হচ্ছে কি এই মুহূর্তে মশা আমাকে খুব বেশি পরিমাণে আদর করতেছে প্রচুর পরিমাণে এটা আমার দ্বিতীয় ভুল এখন আমার তৃতীয় ভুল হচ্ছে আমি ভিডিও স্টপ করে ঘুমাতে চলে যাব প্রচুর পরিমাণে ঘুম পাচ্ছে তো দেখা হচ্ছে নেক্সট ভিডিওতে।